Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There may be strong language and adult themes. So today is National Superhero Day. This is not intended for children. There may be strong language and adult themes. So I suppose we should start with an around the horn of who's your favorite superhero. Jenny, why don't you start? I guess Jenny's not quite with us yet. Okay, Porpoise, who's your favorite superhero?
Booster Gold.
I'm not familiar with that one.
I've been thinking about this, and I almost got kicked out of a comic book group for saying this, but my favorite superhero is Worf from Star Trek: The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine lore.
Yeah, you might have to kind of explain why he's a superhero, because he doesn't have any powers that any other Klingon doesn't have.
But he was the first Klingon in Starfleet. He went to a Jem'Hadar prison, a Dominion prison, killed over 12. I got to look into geek lore. Jem'Hadar in hand-to-hand combat, brought Martok back, and instead of honored killing his brother, he erased his memory, became House of Martok, even though he still was called son of Moog. Worf was just a step above everybody else. And he stood aside as a man when Chanzia Dax turned into Ensri Dax and didn't say a word.
And he's really scary.
I stand for Worf all day long. And if you've ever seen him in person, he is that big.
I saw a B grade movie on TV today, actually. Oh God, I wish I could remember the title of it. And Michael Dorn was in it. And it's the first time I've ever seen him without Worf makeup.
That's always interesting when you get used to seeing him in one role and then you see him, especially in something older that they did before they were known.
A very stable milking stool. You have brought dishonor on your family and your house.
Absolutely. I knew Porpoise would know what I was talking about.
Well, I'm not sure his family had much honor to begin with, so it might not be a big deal.
I can't agree that Worf is the best superhero in Star Trek, but
he's just my hero. It's my imaginary hero.
Listen, if we're going to go for superheroes, we have to go for the engineers who have superhuman engineering powers and regularly break the laws of physics.
Well, as far as breaking the laws of physics goes into my favorite superhero is Doctor Strange. Because his powers literally are unlimited. But the thing I really like is his powers weren't a birth mutation. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't some secret formula or something that he got. All of his immense powers he got from self-discipline and study.
Yeah, what a line of crap, hey?
Yeah, that's what the Force should have been in Star Wars before they started this bloodline stuff. It's like anyone should be able to use the Force if you live the right way. I mean, the Force is.
Well, that was the impression that it gave you on the very first Star Wars.
Yeah,
that it was something a lot of people could learn and become. That it wasn't some something you're given at birth or something. It's a skill.
Yeah, in the original trilogy.
But as far as I'm concerned, Episode never ever happened. So midichlorians aren't canon.
I have to laugh under my Peter Parker mask for that one. That was hilarious. I recently heard someone go off about how midichlorians aren't canon.
But they are. I mean.
Yeah, I think it would help a lot of things if they could somehow dismiss Episode 1 from the canon.
Okay, but I used to use the line on Young Earth Creationists when I was a young, angry atheist when I first came in the community. I'd get in this knockout, drag-out debate with a Christian, and I'd always say in the end, I'm not here to free slaves. And I got that from Qui-Gon Jinn. So if there's anything that's a good line from that movie, you could always end as a zinger with that to somebody.
Yeah,
I
well,
love that.
that brings up a dark part of Star Wars in itself that, slavery's going on and nobody really seems to be trying to do anything about it.
And not even the Jedi really give a F if it's not a part of their mission.
Yep.
Oh well, it's like the Republicans call the slavery that happened here. It was benevolent slavery. They had a better life being slaves. And,
If that was true, then people like me wouldn't exist.
But here's why Booster Gold is the best superhero. First of all, he doesn't have any more powers than Batman. Really. He comes to us from the future, tries to steals the technology, tries to basically sell himself off as a superhero, builds a bad reputation for himself, and then all of a sudden decides, you know what, this isn't good, and despite himself, still becomes a hero.
I like that.
Didn't you just describe the plot of the movie Hancock?
Not quite.
Will Smith and I broke up recently. I will no longer be discussing Will Smith in any way, shape, or form. I am sick of Will Smith. We are over. And I mean it this time. I mean it.
And I don't know why I thought Hancock wasn't a comedy when I saw the ads for it. But
my favorite superhero would be Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Oh, now I have that
Classic.
greatest theme song ever for a TV show.
Oh, okay. I hated that series. I hated it when it was new. It was just so camp and it's just ridiculous. And I mean, the woman who played the part,
Linda Carter.
Linda Carter. I mean, she's okay. I mean, this is the only thing I've ever seen her act in. So who knows if she's a good actress?
She's been in a bunch of Lifetime movies.
I'm going to disagree.
Yeah, okay. But it just there was no acting, there was no writing, there was no special effects, there was nothing.
Jenny, but
that was any good in that film or series.
Did you ever watch The Hulk, the original?
Bill Bixby.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty sucky too.
Okay, I was about to say they're on the same line because you can't say that Wonder Woman didn't have depth if because I've seen every episode of Wonder Woman.
No, Bill Bixby was much better in my favorite version.
To be fair, most 70s TV shows were bad, including Captain America and Spider-Man. But I'd like to disagree with the best TV theme. That belongs to B.J. McKay and his best friend Bear.
I have to look.
Oh, I don't know that one.
I'm sure the show didn't run very long. I'm surprised I even remember the theme song.
Could you sing it for us?
Why don't we have someone bring up a clip on YouTube rather than have me sing it?
Well, as far as theme songs, especially since we're talking superheroes, it's hard to come up with any that have had the enduring power of the theme from the 70s Spider-Man.
Spider-Man does everything that a spider can.
A Commander 401.
And he says,
I agree.
I think one of the best TV entry songs, it was Mission Impossible. Lalo Schifrin is a master, and I think that was just one of the best done TV themes ever. It's great.
Honestly, I'm just surprised I remember the theme song to BHK McKay and My Best Friend Bear because I think it was canceled after a few episodes because it was not one of Glenn A. Larson's better efforts.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that in years, but yeah, the theme song comes back pretty quick once you mention it.
Because he had, not that he's known for great TV, but he also gave us the original Battlestar Galactica, the 80s Buck Rogers, which could be due for a remake. I mean, a good Buck Rogers remake that's not just silly would be good.
Yeah.
And Knight Rider.
I love that show. I
Yeah.
loved that damn show. I was
Yeah,
obsessed
I have
with
to
it.
admit, I liked it too.
I am
And
not looking up the song for BJ and the Bear though, because theme songs are something they catch really quick and cancel the stream.
YouTube's really been they're all up in my business. They're all up in my YouTube studio telling me, you're the
Oh, hey,
copyright.
Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Well, I could go get my harmonica and see if Harp Tab says it, but no one wants to hear me play the harmonica.
Do you know I still stand for Captain Planet. Now that we're talking about superheroes, I'm going to bring up a controversial subject. I love Captain Planet. I love the concept of it. That propaganda worked on me. I still recycle.
Well, he's a hero. He's going to bring pollution down to zero.
I don't know if I was in that age group, but I loved Captain Planet.
I don't
You're-
remember enough of it to either love it or hate it. It was just there.
Rick and Morty just did a parody of it.
Wasn't he the dude with green hair?
Yes,
I think
and
so.
they'd combine their rings.
Yeah, the 5 kids that when they put the rings together, they join and he emerges.
Yeah, that was way after me for watching it age
But-
level stuff.
Let me tell you, when you combined Earth, Wind, and Fire, that's just funkiness, kids. Go listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire. It'll change your life.
But there was one more power that you're forgetting.
Will, you can say that again, please.
I was just listening to Shalimar, and I was thinking, like, I don't think people realize that, like, these people played the instruments that you hear. It's not just something on a soundboard somewhere. It's like these people are actually playing the instruments. Like, when you listen to James Brown, everything you hear is coming from an actual band. There's a human being behind every single noise you hear.
Wait, didn't Heart allow him to talk to animals, though, too?
What's that? Captain Planet?
Yeah, I think
someone-
it did.
I have to look that up now.
Yeah, someone's complaining the Heart got shafted. It's like, Heart did more than you thought it did, but
Let me tell you, I got heart. I have heart. Doesn't mean much in the real world.
it was more utility than the other powers, I think, was their point.
Well, you combine earth and water, and all you get is mud.
You know what? And I'm gonna say it because I'm a cynical person. Is those shows they had hope? Even nowadays, kids' cartoons are kind of dark. Like I try to get Isaiah into the new Star Trek, and he looks at me and he's like, "This is kind of dark, man. This is kind of dark."
Oh,
Yeah.
You mean Star Trek Prodigy?
Yeah, I liked it, but my son's 12, and he's like,
I was going to say, they're trying to redo the Bad Batch in Star Trek form. That's like,
They are.
it's like, first of all, the Bad Batch isn't necessarily targeted at children. It's just trying to get both audiences, which is why its backstory is kind of messed up. But...
Oh, and speaking of which, I mistakenly watched Picard this morning, and if you are a Picard fan, trigger warning.
I have got to watch season 2. I love Q. I need to pirate it.
This one's it grabs you. I'm not gonna give anything away, but they went pretty hardcore on this season. And Gaius Baltar.
Where do you watch that?
I pay for Paramount Plus because I'm a yuppie and I'm an exagerado who still pays for cable.
Oh, I thought it was in wasn't it in Disney?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I pay for Paramount Plus because I'm a Star Trek fanatic.
Disney has Star Wars. Paramount has Star Trek.
So what's the difference?
Yep.
Different companies own them.
Yeah, there's the fee.
I think if Netflix want to survive, they should buy the Warner Brothers streaming service and partner with them, and then they can do the DC stuff.
Star Wars, Star Trek, you can't tell them apart.
The problem is everything is so privatized. Don't even get me started on how Disney is destroying this earth. You don't have to worry about nuclear winter. You don't have to worry about another country. Disney is coming for you right now. They have bought more land in the Los Angeles area than McDonald's. You should be scared.
Speaking of superheroes and
Mage.
cyberpunk dystopias, Neo. Great superhero or greater superhero?
I loved Neo because the whole concept made me feel like I was on drugs and I wasn't on drugs. So I loved The Matrix.
I only saw the first movie.
That's all you need to see.
Neo wasn't a superhero.
He wasn't the Matrix.
He was the definition in the second one. Spoiler. He learns how to fly. He becomes the one, and then in the third one, like he is the one. I love those movies.
There's a fan theory that Neo is not the one, but it's just a glitch in the Matrix, and Agent Smith is the one.
Oh, that would be awesome too. I like that. Have you ever seen the Animatrix?
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
I bought them when they first came out. I still have the disc. And I watch it. I love the Animatrix.
Yeah.
And I liked the new movie too, but I guess a lot of people didn't like it because it wasn't serious in tone. But come on, it's Doogie Howser just tormenting Neo.
I'll probably watch that tonight since Picard destroyed me today. I'll probably watch that.
Actually, I've heard Halo is pretty good.
I have yet to watch a single episode of that yet. Jesse Gender does series on certain shows, and it keeps popping up, but I haven't even clicked on it because I want to watch the show.
I chose my name to match the theme of the evening.
Okay.
Stupor Girl?
I don't know if it got progressively worse. Sorry, go ahead.
I call Sloth Girl's son Extra Man. His amazing powers are the ability to be completely redundant and useless.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, that sounds like something you'd see in the Coon and Friends saga of the South Park.
I have a rule. I'm anti-uselessness, so like when I was a kid, I had trouble sleeping. My mom would always tell me, if you're going to stay up all night, do something. When I stay up all night, I do the laundry. I wash my dishes. That's why I get most of my sewing done in the middle of the night when I can't sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Because it helps calm the mind, instead of thinking about things I can't control.
Of course, and on discussing superheroes, we cannot miss the Tick. We'll just ignore that the live-action version ever happened.
There were two, actually.
There was a TV
forget
series.
about both of them.
Oh, the TV series was awesome.
The Amazon one wasn't bad. It just should have had Patrick Warburton play the Tick.
Yeah, Patrick Warburton is. You know who I mean. He's great. I love that guy.
I watched the first one, and it was hilarious.
I think the character he played on Seinfeld, Putty, was just so perfect. He just did that role so well.
Okay, so hockey fans, he still does the New Jersey Devils character at least once every year or once every 2 years. The Devils honor him, and he comes out with his face painted and everything. So he still stays true to his Seinfeld character.
Mage Grey Wolf, let me just say, in honor of that superhero, if you're truly evil, eat this kitten.
I had a fanfic for the Tick, but the show went away before I finished it, so.
I liked it when his little antennas would move.
I like Sewer Urchin.
Did anybody ever watch Swamp Thing?
No,
only when it was on at 3 a.m.
I loved Swamp Thing when I was a kid.
I think I did, but didn't also spawn the Toxic Crusaders.
Okay, so Fox tried a series with the Toxic Avenger, and it failed.
what I'm-
And it failed miserably. I all here for the Toxic Avenger as well, but all of
Alright.
those shows were hilarious. It only went like a season and a half.
Yeah, the Toxic Avenger was good. I never saw the series.
Wait, I'm thinking there was a cartoon called The Toxic Crusaders. So
Oh, they had a live action of the Toxic Avenger, and I liked it. But I'm gonna tell you, like, I had geeks in my life. Like my brother and my father, they were geeks, so they'd be like, "Yeah, the Toxic Avenger's coming out." So I was into it because I was a kid. You're impressionable and dumb when you're a kid.
I liked Airborne Toxic Event.
I'm trying to think of all the crap I watched as a kid. I watched well, no, those are just bad movies, like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Airplane.
Airplane's a bad movie.
No, I'm not saying like, oh, it's a bad movie, but there's a lot of people who are like, oh, that's a terrible movie, and I'm like, no, it's a bad movie.
But Airplane was
think
written to be
Airport.
bad.
I think he's thinking of Airport, not Airplane.
No, I love Airplane, but I'm just saying it's along the same line of like Naked Gun. It's a shticky movie. I love those movies, but a lot of people. I had an ex-girlfriend who was like, "I love you," but like she drew the line at black and white movies and movies like that because I love stuff like that. And she's like, "No."
Airplane's one of the greatest American comedies of all time.
Hey, Doc.
Hey, what's up?
You sound great.
Hey, Doc, how are you doing?
Oh, a little tired.
Whoop,
Oh.
you broke up there just as you started talking.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, there's a dog fight outside my house, and I have security cameras so I can watch it later. Oh, that's a real dog fight.
Actual dogs.
Around here is nothing but yuppies, and their dogs are better kept than people, so they rarely leave the house. But my neighbor got some like dogs that are my size. And when I'm watering the lawn, I could see him just watching me from the front of my neighbor's house. Hey, Philip.
There's something wrong with the dog fight? What is it?
Come on, Doc, get it together.
When I hear adults yelling, it makes me turn my head, and they're still yelling. Yeah, that's how neighbors turn into enemies and end up suing each other.
Yeah. Anything that doesn't come up at least knee high, I don't consider a dog. That's just a large rodent.
So, I don't know who Diana is, but so Godless Sewing, do you think with all the superhero movies, even with the oversaturation, we'll eventually get a Captain Planet movie? And hopefully not voiced by Ted Turner.
If it was, I would go first day, just like when the first G.I. Joe came out. I had to go see the movie just because I was from the generation they targeted with the cartoon.
Hey, if a
No.
Voltron movie, even if a Voltron Cars movie came out, I'd go see it.
Exactly. Or like if they made a Robotech movie, I would be obligated to go. If there was a religion, Robotech would be my religion. Like that was my show when I was a kid. I have a bunch of Robotech books. That was like when they re-released it on Netflix. I got to watch it as an adult. I love Robotech.
They were supposed to do a BattleTech movie, but honestly, I think the closest you're ever going to get is Pacific Rim.
Exactly. That's why I loved that movie. I absolutely loved that movie.
Speaking of bad movies, watch Atlantic Rim.
I think my parents were obsessed with like buying the $5 bin movies at Walmart. And every once in a while, I'll go to my mom's house and I'm like, oh, you own this movie? So I guarantee you, if I went to my mom's house, she probably has it.
The TV network that does broadcast, I think they also do cable. The name is This. They have a broadcast arm going right now on the locals here that are all these B and C rated movies. Let me put that a different way. Kevin Sorbo type movies.
Ooh.
Hey,
We have.
And I say that because he really is in them.
One of
Oh,
these,
sorry, Porpoise. Go ahead.
I was gonna say one of these days I'm sorry. Go ahead.
he's a terrible actor. he's just terrible.
One of these days I'm going to do a Christian movie night, and I'll probably start with Revelation Road because Kevin Sorbo is a Mad Max fan, and it's just.
Kevin, I don't know if anyone's ever. I'm into torturing myself sometimes, and I've never paid for it, but I've watched some PureFlix material. It's bad. Isaiah and I can do a better job with my Canon camera. It's a bad green screen, terrible bad.
Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff they put out.
Yeah. Well, Revelation Road used to be on Netflix under like the Christian category. Because I think Atlantic Rim was done in the Netflix's Mystery Science Theater reboot.
I watched some of that. That brought me back. It was just nostalgia from the good old days.
Yeah, and I was just laughing at the whole thing. It's like, is this footage from the Power Rangers that they have clipped and put in?
So, fun fact: when I was a young lad, they filmed Power Rangers in my neighborhood. I would be walking home from school. It was the strangest thing. You would see them fighting in the middle of the street, and all the Rangers would be on the side smoking a cigarette watching the scene because they all smoked cigarettes and had bad endings. Every single one of the original Rangers did not end well because my town sucked them up and spit them out.
Coming back to something you said earlier, dolphins do use tools. They're also one of the few other animals we know to get high.
Absolutely. And
I heard about him passing a blowfish around.
Were those dolphins in Lower Decks? Porpoise? Were those dolphins? Have you seen Lower Decks the last season?
It only has 2, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the second to last episode.
I was gonna say I love Lower Decks, but I don't remember the dolphins.
Oh, it's in the last episode. They always throw back.
And I just love
the. Oh, sorry.
And I just love the Bajoran security chief who's like high strung.
They really go more into it, and like anytime you bring up what'd you do when you were a kid, and he's like, I was too busy fighting Cardassians to be a kid, and like I don't know why it makes me laugh every time because you're not supposed to. But it makes me just die of laughter.
I think he's gonna come back in the next season, search for Spock style.
You haven't seen the second season?
I have.
Oh, okay.
Which is, I just spoiled it if you haven't seen it. But...
No, I have. Yeah, he does.
No, he hasn't come back yet. And I think there's a reason why they did it at the end of the second season, so they could do that at the start of the third. And in Lower Decks, I also love the way they treat Q.
As an annoyance?
Yes.
He would be. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't have time for Q's bullshit. I don't have time for that. I got a life to live. Like, I don't have time to play human chess or fight someone.
Does anyone want to go on trial for the crimes of humanity? We got work to do, Q.
No. And if we were put up on trials for humanity, we would lose every time anyways. Like, humans suck. Get over it. We're terrible to each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to say that I didn't see Next Generation. I didn't watch it when it first came out. I didn't start watching it till about the 3rd season. And I think that's a good thing because I think if I tried watching it from the beginning, I would have gotten so sick of Wesley Crusher, I would have stopped watching it before it got to the 3rd season and never watched it again.
Oh, come on. Wesley Crusher was like the whiz kid. Smarter than everybody.
There was nothing
Exactly
wrong
the
with Wesley
problem.
Crusher.
Yeah, I don't get
People
what
hate Wesley Crusher
Crusher
because you're
hatred
supposed to
all.
hate Wesley Crusher. It's,
And he grew up to be like a huge ally of the LGBTQIA plus community. He marches every year in Pride. Like he cares. Will Wheaton
yep.
cares.
Now
Like,
you're talking about the actor, not the
I
character.
know.
Okay. Yeah,
confused
the
the two.
actor is a good person. The character was annoying.
He ascended.
no, he wasn't. He never had any. He never had any role in the thing that was long enough to get him become annoying. He was in for a shot or two here and there.
Yeah, and pop up in the last 5 minutes for WizKid Saves the Day. That was the annoying part. It's like half the episodes he didn't even seem to be in, but he was the what's that? The Deus Ex Mechanica.
Ex Machina.
There's an episode where Geordi gets stranded on a planet with a Romulan in the Galundan core. I can't believe I said that properly. And Geordi's blind, but Wesley Crusher makes this thing where he can see the frequency. And there's a point where LeVar Burton, Geordi, is like, "Oh, Wesley Crusher, you need a whiz kid when you're in outer space. You need someone like that on your starship. I would gladly let him and his really, really, really hot mother on my starship."
I just want to point out that no matter how bad every Wesley Crusher episode was, that none of them were as bad as Spock's brain.
Who?
Spock's brain.
Oh,
In the original series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I present to you Black Shield as an Exhibit A for Mariner being more annoying. Okay, so Mage, you don't like Mariner? I kind of like Mariner. I know how it is to be the boss's kid and to be a complete F up, but you're still good at your job. So I identify with Beckett Mariner.
I think Mariner's funny. Why would you find her annoying? She's
No, in today's world, I don't read a lot of the sci-fi stuff because a lot of people completely hate on everything. Like I liked the new Doctor Who, and people just lost it. Oh, New Trek is awesome, Mage. New Trek is amazing.
Looks like a masterpiece of what? Isn't that like a just bizarre BDSM fantasy?
I have an unpopular opinion. What was her name? The empath in Star Trek.
Troy?
I'm sorry, who?
Troy?
Troy. Yeah, Troy. I thought she sucked.
How is that an unpopular opinion?
Just completely useless position on the ship. She's just drawing her salary and wasting time.
Well, it's a useful position, but they made her part of the bridge crew, and it's like, I sense hostility. It's like, yeah, they just raised weapons. They just fired their torpedoes.
But her mom was daughter of the fifth house, holder of the chalice of Reese. Oh, come on. I'm here for Beta Z all day long.
Well, personally, I would have to agree with Jenny that the character really was pretty much unnecessary.
And I didn't think she was hot at all. She was pretty average.
Well, I liked her because, for a change, you got a woman who actually had hips.
You're making me want to listen to the goth singer Voltaire and his album Band on Vulcan.
I wouldn't kick Maria Sturritz out of bed for eating chicken and leaving crumbs in the bed. Not at all. She can come be mediocre over here anytime.
Well, I also have to say, part of what I find so attractive of her is her voice. She has a very nice, soothing voice. I can really get to that.
I agree. I'm biased towards that entire cast because, that was my era. And
well, actually, what was great was the Disney animated series Gargoyles, because they got most of the bridge crew in there.
Well, they had. Star Trek killed. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no! I was just gonna agree with Purple. They did damn near have the entire bridge crew on Gargoyles.
Star Trek kills a lot of people's careers. What else are we gonna do?
I agree with you.
Yeah, it happens to a lot of people.
But Riker and Worf did a bunch of voiceovers. Michael Dorn did a bunch of voiceovers for obscure documentaries I've seen. Type it in on YouTube, you'll be shocked. Well, Riker, did that Fact Beyond Belief. Yeah, their careers really don't amount to much.
Mark Hamill, he's a really great Skeletor, surprisingly, even though he doesn't have the whiny voice. And of course, he's awesome as the Joker, but he hasn't really done any movies since Star Wars.
I tell this story all the time at Comic-Con in San Diego, 1998. Mark Hamill was right before the doors of the amphitheater, and people were kind of mulling around. They opened the doors for the Stargate cast, and Mark Hamill kind of stood there and crossed his arms, and everybody walked past it. I have to get the picture. My brother took a picture of him. He just looked like a sad man on an island. It was really sad to see Luke Skywalker being rejected by a generation who didn't know who he was. And that was in 98. But everyone knows who he is now.
Well, another famous person that you don't hear from anymore, or don't think you do, is Ringo Starr. But he's actually been voicing a lot of animated characters.
Yeah.
So if you hear a character that's got Ringo's accent, there's a good chance it's actually him.
That's awesome.
Ringo also has a lot of credit as a producer and things. He's still making money hand over fist.
As is Mark Hamill as well. Mark Hamill is voice of the Joker. Like, I have to look up Mark Hamill now because he has a giant body of work.
Yeah,
but a lot of people just don't know.
I want a Joker that's a combination of Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson as the actor, but voiced by Mark Hamill.
Mark Harmon. No one cares about Mark Harmon.
There was a meme on Twitter that is just an absolutely great concept for a movie that they need to make. Was to have all the Muppets sitting around playing a game of D&D, and it would cut between them sitting around the table and actually having, live actors playing their D&D characters, but voiced by the Muppets.
That would be awesome.
So can you see Kermit's voice coming from a barbarian?
No.
If I could do Kermit's voice, I now want to do it.
I once one of my jobs in life was to be a technical service advisor for BMWs and to take field technical question calls from all over the country and Canada as well. And one night I get this call from a guy who's in Canada who turns out to be the voice of Kermit after Jim Henson died. And when he mentioned that, I asked him what he did, and that's how he mentioned it. He did the rest of the call as Kermit the Frog. It was just a riot. Never mind. That's all the story I have. But it was lots of fun.
Sorry, I was smoking. That would really tick me off if someone called me as Kermit.
So, DC, Marvel, or what's the new one? ID?
Okay, so
Image.
Marvel paid for my divorce, and because my brother was a collector and he taught me to buy doubles, I'm not kidding you, I had an entire run of Pickett. So I'm Marvel all the way.
Hey, an anime girl with cat ears.
Hey.
Hello.
But DC is awesome as well. I love Batman. I am Batman. I'm not wearing hockey pads.
I really wish DC could make some better movies. Shazam was awesome.
Yeah, I'm more of a DC fan myself.
Have you guys seen The Dark Knight? The one with Bane and Christian Bale. I love that
Yes.
movie.
Yeah,
I
that was pretty well done.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I thought the
it-
Joker was better, or just Joker.
I haven't seen Joker yet.
Oh, you've got to see it.
funny thing, neither have I, but I wasn't necessarily in a good place when it came out. I didn't want to see it. Now I'll sit down and watch it.
We had a major fire here today.
And
Sort of-
Superman could have put it out for you.
Started this morning and downtown La Crosse and took out a couple buildings on one block. It's pretty nasty, collapsing walls and all kinds of stuff. Nobody was hurt.
That's awful.
Oh, that
But it's
sucks.
sure
Well,
gonna.
glad
Sure,
nobody was hurt, but yeah, multiple buildings.
Is that something that happens a lot, or is it rare?
what?
Fires.
The fires.
Where you
A,
live.
a downtown kind of fire? Yeah, I think that was pretty rare.
We get them all the time because of people who don't understand electricity.
Wait, you don't have people blow themselves up every Thanksgiving because they didn't properly thaw their turkeys? Oh, right, you don't have the rednecks.
That's
in
real.
Minnesota, we always get half a dozen people who burn down the garage on Thanksgiving.
My brother is a professional tailgater, so I've only heard horror stories. But fried, I hate turkey, but deep fried turkey is amazing.
Yes, it is. Deep fried turkey is great. I love deep fried.
Zoomy wins the internet for the best avatar on Zoom. It's really cute.
Oh,
Tech-
thanks.
All right, Ox. Technological prowess does qualify one as a superhero. It doesn't matter how your superpowers come. Iron Man does qualify. Batman is kind of a gray area because most of his devices, you get the impression they're supposed to be stuff anyone could purchase. He's just well prepared.
Oh, come on! I stand for
but-
Batman. I
Well,
love
I
Batman.
I love Batman, and
I mean, look at Ironheart, for instance. I mean, she's just a high school kid, but yet she was able to recreate Iron Man's armor like that. I mean,
That brings me to something else. I loved the 1980s Iron Man when he was just this like sad drunk. I loved that. There's a run where he's dealing with hardcore
Yeah.
alcoholism.
yeah,
Well, I'm old in the Marvel, but I remember all the Marvel comics for the 60s through the 80s. So, the current cinematic universe, very few of them are even remotely the same characters.
I would also like to point out Batman has the best superpower in the DC universe.
money.
Doesn't
He is
the
goddamn
Hulk
Batman?
doesn't the
Money.
Hulk go between universes?
Oh, the Hulk's into every universe.
Yeah, Jenny, I have I don't know how many iterations of the Hulk in comic. I still collect Hulk comic. Hulk is awesome. Hulk's done name it. What Hulk hasn't done.
My favorite's Green Lantern, of course.
What's the Red Lantern? I feel like I would be a Red
Rage.
Lantern. Yeah,
Rage.
I would be a Red Lantern.
Anger, rage. Yeah, anger and rage. Yeah.
There was a cartoon. It was more of a 2010 to 2011 version. I don't know, whatever my son would watch. I got into it. It was with Hal Jordan. It was more new age cartoon, but I got into it.
Okay,
I'm a-
revenge is a motivator, but it's not in itself a superpower.
Frank Castle is not supposed to be.
Deadpool. No, but Deadpool is Deadpool.
Yeah. Frank Castle is not supposed to be a superhero. He's a vigilante anti-hero.
Oh yeah.
He's also Batman without the moral compunctions.
Basically,
Isn't
I agree.
that kind of like the Punisher? The Punisher really isn't a superhero. He's more the anti-hero as well.
The problem with the Punisher, the one thing that really has ticked me off, especially around here, is that the right wing and a lot of
Oh,
white power
God.
people have adopted the
Yeah.
Punisher. And a lot of my work shirts, I used to
Yeah.
sport the Punisher because I'm like, you guys don't even know what the Punisher's about.
Oh,
No,
that
the,
skull.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Punisher would hate the right wing.
that's what I'm saying. And it really ticks me off. But these people don't, they're not into comics. You know, like I was really into comics as a kid. The Punisher, you know, that's going to be the next t-shirt I make. The Punisher would have hated you.
Didn't
Yeah.
the Punisher just come out in the last few months or something like that as gay?
I wouldn't
don't-
be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I mean, the Punisher's been around since the 70s?
Yeah.
And he's always
Well-
been super left-wingish.
Well, I think the first Punisher appearance was in Ghost Rider. I could be wrong.
It's hard to tell. So the Joker isn't a bad guy, just a bad life. It's hard to tell what the Joker is because it's my favorite background for the Joker is that it's not an actual single person; it's a role.
Yeah, well, there's been 3 Jokers. They've actually elaborated on this. The Batman, when hooked up to the Mobius chair, which is a chair that reaches across all time, all universes, etc., can give you vast knowledge. He asked the Mobius chair who the Joker's name was. And the Mobius chair asked back, which one? Then it showed the 3 different Jokers.
Well, that's the thing I hate about Batman is there's been what, since George Clooney, there's been what, 6 or 7 different Batmans, and every one of them has never gotten past the origin story.
Well, they
Michael
all-
Keaton, Michael Keaton was that. I loved the Michael Keaton Batman.
Yeah, he was very
Michael-
very good.
The Michael Keaton one was really good, yeah.
I absolutely loved. Like both of those movies were just amazing.
But each of the Batmans, the different, MCU Batman, well, not MCU, what am I saying?
DC
Batman's
universe.
DCU. Each of the DCU Batman were from different universes. That's the whole problem with Batman, with the movies. They all take place in different universes, so they can't really be tied to each other. If that makes any sense.
No, it does, because that's how I had to treat The Walking Dead, because I read anything I can get my hands on before the show came out. And right around there, I won't give it away, but there was a certain part in the series where I stopped watching it because it was so far off. And I kind of spoiled it by reading the book first, but it just wasn't for me anymore.
I loved one thing I loved though was I'm going back to Deadpool.
No,
the fact that Deadpool reaches across all the different universes and has at one point killed every single hero in the Marvel universe,
including Deadpool,
including himself. Yeah,
I love
he killed
all the
himself
Spider-
in a different universe.
I love the Spider-Man Deadpool cross.
Itsy Bitsy was one of my favorite stories.
Something told me.
I love Deadpool because Ryan Reynolds is just such a riot.
Oh, did you hear that? Ryan Reynolds is begging the DC to make MCU to make Deadpool bisexual, like openly bisexual.
He is. Here's my question though: if there's ever a crossover between Deadpool and Batman, do you think Deadpool will tell Bruce Wayne he has to stick up his ass and then go party with the Joker?
Yeah,
probably
as they're trying to poison each other or kill each other or something fun, you know. Well, you can't poison Deadpool.
But no, Itsy Bitsy though, that was one of my favorite stories as well. Whenever they took Spider-Man's and Deadpool's DNA, put them together and made Itsy Bitsy, and oh my god.
Are they putting together a third Deadpool? Does anyone know?
I know they're making a Squirrel Girl.
A who?
Squirrel
The
Girl.
unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Yeah,
Squirrel Girl?
Yeah.
What, does she run around parks and protect people's nut supply or what?
No, she has her
Squirrel.
Sorry, go ahead.
Her superpower is her very high intellect. She has incredible luck. She can command any type, of squirrel. And she's actually beaten Galactus off screen. She's defeated Thanos off screen. She's defeated Ego off screen. She's
Wait a
pretty
minute,
much defeated every single supervillain that's like kicked the superheroes' asses. She's just off screen them.
Yeah, but she didn't.
She has a squirrel army. Is
Yeah,
that what
pretty
you're
much.
telling me?
Pretty much.
And
Yeah.
she has some squirrel powers.
Well,
Okay,
yeah, she
now-
has squirrel powers too. She super athletic. She can actually communicate with the squirrels.
Jenny, you're laughing, but almost everyone we're talking about wears their underwear outside their clothes.
Okay, Marvel should be sued for copyright infringement
What's underwear?
because there was a Squirrel Girl in the original Tick series.
There
No,
was.
Yeah, there was, but Squirrel Girl dates back to the 70s, and that was well before the Tick. So, Squirrel Girl is one of the lesser known heroes. So it's what really pisses me off because Squirrel Girl is she's actually one of the best. I mean, one of the most powerful superheroes, but nobody ever talks about her because it was not that big of a comic.
Yeah, but she's not supposed to be. She defeated Galactus with the power of conversation.
Yeah, she would
Well,
rather.
if you're that powerful of a superhero, can't you get your name changed? She defeated Deadpool? Holy cow.
Yeah, she's defeated pretty much. She was supposed to be a gag character at first, Grey Wolf, but she kind of grew above that, especially with the new Disney Plus movie series, the cartoon series. She's actually grown into her own pretty well.
Yeah,
I like Squirrel Girl.
Kind of wish Disney would slow down coming out with the new series. It's like
I love them. I love the new Disney Marvel series.
Dude, give me 20 Loki series this season. I don't need 6 series.
Especially like the what was it? The Spider-Gwen and the Spider-Man. Yeah. Sorry.
And I don't know, if you want to do the Book of Boba Fett again, do a season where you have some character development to show how he becomes the character that he was in the first season.
So
But
are you oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Porpoise, are you against all the new Star Trek series, like the Section 31 show, the Strange New Worlds?
I guess they're exploiting their cash cow, but slow it down.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of Star Trek here. I mean, I can pretty much, if you ask me anything about Deep Space Nine, I could probably tell you because that's my favorite series.
Oh, you missed my opening when I said Worf was my favorite superhero.
So,
God.
anything about Deep Space Nine? What happened to Deep Space 8? Is that the space station that got caught in a time loop and the commander went back?
Well, you
I'm
could
just
say
waiting for anyone to tell me what's wrong with that first.
You could. I get confused because they called both Terok Nor, but there's another space station.
Impact Nor.
Yeah, Impact Nor. So Impact Nor could be, because the Federation named it, not the Cardassians.
Well, Deep Space 8. Deep Space 8 was actually, I believe, on the Romulan border, and it was one of the ones that got destroyed whenever the Romulans. Yeah.
Yeah, but all the things
Oh, sorry.
all the things I were saying were actually from Babylon 5.
Babylon 5, yeah, I know. I was about to say that's exactly what happened on Babylon 5. Yeah.
B4 was a great episode. All of those B4 episodes were awesome.
All right. I got a question for you.
Zathros. I love Zathros.
Superhero freaks. Star Wars or Star Trek storyline characters or the Avengers, who'd win the fight?
Are we taking out Q?
No, he's part of the universe.
Yeah.
Well, Star Trek's really a question of their technology rather than the
Yeah.
individual character abilities.
Yeah.
But if you have Q is omnipotent. Star Trek.
Q. Q would win every time.
But could Q
Thor
beat
was a
Dr.
god?
Strange?
But no.
Could Q beat Doctor Strange?
Q
Yes.
isn't a god. Q.
Oh,
has anyone seen any of the new Star Trek Picard series?
I was just talking about have you seen the recent episode?
Yes, I have.
Oh, it was.
Oh
that one-
God.
Oh yeah, it grabbed. I'm not going to give it away, but I watched it this
Yeah.
morning, and I'm like, why did I watch this first thing in the morning?
I watched it about 2 days
Oof.
ago.
Oof.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 days ago. I watched either Wednesday or Thursday. No,
I have a
Tuesday,
weird
Wednesday.
tradition.
Sorry.
I have a Thursday morning tradition where I watch Picard, and it used to be Picard and Discovery, but Discovery's been over for a couple weeks now.
Anyway,
I'm getting my days
Okay.
mixed up. I was thinking today was Friday for some reason.
Unless
Oxa
if-
Squirrel Girl's first appearance was in '92.
92. Oh, okay, I thought it was.
I
I thought it
think
was
the
earlier than
tick
that.
may have predated that.
I would like to say though
No.
that if it takes place in the DC universe, the victory goes to Batman.
Yeah,
Why? Because he's the goddamn Batman.
because he's a goddamn Batman.
I love Batman. I stand for Batman all day long.
But they've actually Death Battle has done a Batman versus Iron Man, and I believe it was Batman who won that as well.
I have all the '90s crossovers, DC versus Marvel, all of them.
Have you read the Ash Williams in the DC universe?
I have to go look in my library because it's been so long.
You know who Ash Williams is, right?
Army
Yes,
of
I
Darkness,
do.
right?
No,
I have to.
Army
I
of
have-
Darkness. Yeah.
I have to look because
Or
I was.
it might have
I
been
was gonna-
Marvel. I can't remember if it was DC or Marvel.
I was gonna pull my long boxes out today because I always forget how many comics I still have. Like I probably have like 1,000, 1,500 around there left, and that's a lot.
I actually think that's Image because they do Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Well, and
Which is a
actually,
movie I pay to see. Sorry,
if
go
we're
ahead.
going to count people as superheroes just for their technology or the gizmos they can build, you can't beat Phineas and Ferb. And they are part of the same universe because they had a 4-part crossover with Marvel.
Marvel. It was Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness. Yeah.
Okay, but I have the Doctor Who Star Trek Enterprise crossover with Matt Smith,
Ooh.
and that's
That was
sexy. It's
that was
sexy.
amazing. That was
Yeah, but-
amazing. Yeah.
Phineas and Ferb don't really set out to be heroes, so we're gonna have to give that to Perry the Platypus.
I love Barry.
I
Well,
still
Phineas
love
and Ferb did do a crossover with Milo's World, and in that one they did set out to be heroes. They built a robot just to defeat a group of plant aliens from the future.
But then there was our Army of Darkness Xena Warrior Princess crossover. Because why not?
I remember back in the day, that was like one of the first open, accepted lesbian relationships that everybody kind of got over.
Yeah.
Lots of people watched Xena, and no one said a word about it.
But one thing that's shitty about my life, I wasn't able to read comics as a child. My parents they're religious, and they forbade me from reading comics. I didn't get to read comics until I was in my mid-20s.
I don't think my dad. Sorry, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't think my dad would have cared. I couldn't drink coffee or tea or even caffeinated sodas. though.
Mormons.
Yes. Which
Nobody paid any attention to what I was doing as a kid, but I was too broke to buy them, so mostly I was reading them hanging around at the newsstand.
Because I really wanted the death of Superman when I was growing up, when I was a little kid. And parents wouldn't get it for me. They're like, "Well, that's an idol. You can't worship idols." But yet they let me watch cartoons. Yet they let me watch the cartoons.
I still have the original still in its package. I have one that I took out stupidly and barely read. And then I have another one that I've read like 15 times a week. Death of Superman. That was hardcore comic back in the day. That was a big deal.
Mixie's Pick Flick versus Q. Mixie's Pick Flick versus Q. That Mixie's Pick Flick versus Q would be interesting. But Q would win. Q would definitely win versus Mixie's Pick Flick. I can see Q winning that.
You can't fight anything that could snap its fingers and make you not exist. Sorry.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Exactly. Well, he can't actually just snap his fingers and you not exist.
Thanos can.
It puts you we'll put you in an asteroid like in Voyager.
In Voyager,
with the other Q.
Well, actually, yeah, he
Well-
could. He could just snap his fingers, go back in time to when before your planet evolved, and then just destroy your planet and make you so you never evolved. And yeah,
Listen, they're not fairy tales when God writes them.
yeah,
My parents were like
yeah,
Catholic
exactly.
for my parents were Catholic for appearance, I guess. Their rule was like don't get caught.
My
They
mom
don't-
was Mormon, and my dad was Baptist, and yeah, my mom pretty much broke the rules when it came to stuff like that.
My parents would be like, "Oh, you can't watch Beavis and Butthead," and then they'd go to bed, and I would watch it,
And what even Butthead? Yeah.
and nothing happened. So I ended up just watching it, not saying anything.
By the time I was born, my parents were just tired of having kids.
Oh,
So they just kind of informally left it to my older siblings and hoped somebody would do something.
I mean, not
Purple? You have just crossed the 1 hour mark. I think this is the longest time you've ever kept on topic for forever.
I was seeing that, yeah.
Superheroes are amazing.
Superheroes are awesome.
Absolutely. Right
that means we
crowd.
can.
Well,
that
yes,
means
it is actually a new limit, a new record. Our previous record had been National Potato Day when we spent 42 minutes discussing how to cook potatoes.
Well,
Oh,
that
God.
means we can derail it now. So how can you
No.
watch Beavis and Butthead for more than 5 minutes? I mean, they're funny, but I couldn't stand them. I thought Daria was much better.
Daria
I
was
love-
much
Oh, I
better.
love Daria.
I'm wearing my Daria jacket
Daria,
right
it's
now.
funny. If Daria was still around today, she would be 41 years old.
So I would have went to high school with her.
I
That
was
still
Daria.
makes her the age of my oldest daughter.
I was Daria in high
Me.
school, pretty much. Just
My
she had a
age.
better. Sorry.
Literally my
I
age.
so Beavis and Butthead would show I'm really into music. I'm really into metal. I'm into rap. Like I'm into country music. If it sounds good, I'll listen to it, okay? So Beavis and Butthead would play videos that weren't always played on MTV. So when it got to the point where where they were jamming out on the couch, they were like that was the first time I ever saw an Aussie video on television.
Okay,
Or
well, I'm going to keep
Yeah.
our streak running. If Daria was a superhero, what would her powers be?
Sarcasm.
Sarcasm. And the ability to bring down any room.
Actually, she kind of has a superpower of turning whatever situation she's in against the people,
Yeah,
putting
Yeah.
her into it.
Well, so she'd have that emotion gun from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
You're making her sound Catholic though, because I always tell my mom her superpower is guilt. So
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not always.
Yeah.
It's not always. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
you're
kind of
right.
think that Billie Eilish is a superhero.
It's not guilt. It's like one time when the principal brings in a modeling agency to exploit the students. At the end, she gets a military or a mercenary recruiter.
yep.
God, Daria was a good show. Daria was awesome.
absolutely. I loved all of those shows, really.
Actually,
But her with that gun from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy would cause a real problem.
Okay, did anyone ever watch Eon Flux?
Yep.
Nope.
I still watch it. It's awesome. It's still on.
It was an awesome show. Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
show, too.
it was a great show, but it needed a fucking ending. I was so pissed
Yeah.
off at the last episode.
Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus. I'm not going to give anything away, but they have the entire series on there.
No, I
they-
saw the last episode. It needed an ending.
Yeah, it didn't have a real, just like Inuyasha.
Yeah,
it
the
didn't have
last
an
ending was kind of like take out the batteries and let's see how much further it runs.
Stargate did that, but they did that in the anticipation of movies. And it
So is-
only worked with SG1 because Atlantis. SG1, the
See,
original cast got 2 movies, and Atlantis didn't get any at all.
well, see, Babylon 5 did it right. They left it on a good note. They left it open, just enough open to be able to start a new series if they wanted to. And they did have an actual, finale to it. It felt complete.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But they left it open enough for the universe to continue if someone in the future decided to, make
Yeah.
new series out of it. And
And-
from what I've heard, they are trying to get some of the cast back together to make more of Babylon 5, but I'm not entirely sure if that's possible.
But there's also that shot when Sheridan is leaving Babylon 5 and they have what was supposed to be a cast of the spinoff because
Yeah,
every
and
single
also-
person had taken the role of somebody else.
And also, it's messed up that Ben Sisko pulled a Sheridan.
Wormhole Jesus.
Yep.
It is the wormhole Jesus. I'm on episode 24 right now of season 7 of Deep Space Nine for the 900th time. I love that show.
Still, my favorite one though is the mutants. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, right?
In DS9,
Yeah,
the episode or is that what
the
it's called?
the characters,
Oh.
the genetically altered, the genetically modified characters.
With that are like Dr. Bashir.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh yeah, those guys are great.
Oh,
those
those
are
are
hilarious.
great.
I love those guys.
Absolutely.
So
But-
here's
But here's something about Deep Space Nine not everyone knows though. The entire thing about Bashir being genetically modified, that wasn't even thought up until that episode happened. They were having a hard time trying to figure out why he couldn't be the basis for the EMH. But then suddenly, oh, we'll just have him be genetically modified because that's illegal. Oh, there we go.
That
speaking
seems
of
like a total retcon.
And we have
Yeah.
scientist Mel with us.
Hey, Mel.
Well,
Hey, I'm okay. I'm just hanging out.
I was gonna say, speaking of superheroes, we have one of my favorite real life ones in here now.
yeah.
Mhm.
Aw, too sweet. Let me go
We're
run
just-
and hide.
We're
Yeah.
geeking out on superheroes right now.
We don't interact too often. Bits on Twitter is about all because she has to run her streams on Saturday mornings, and it's like, what's the point? Saturday and morning do not go together. You're not supposed to.
No, we're all
acknowledge
busy
that.
watching
What's,
cartoons.
What's up? Morning? What's that?
I'm actually watching in my car as I'm driving to a thrift store because I'm a morning person. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
It's the thing I've been.
I can't. I've never heard that word before.
It's the thing I've been waking up for, so I can get to calculus class by 11.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
I'm up early. I'm out there with the old ladies at the fighting over yarn.
I'm up until about 5 a.m. Then I go to sleep till about 7 or 8.
I get off work in the morning. Morning is my after work time. It's my afternoon. Evening.
So no one has convinced me yet of why Worf is not a superhero.
He
I'm
isn't.
waiting.
He is. I mean, he is.
I,
Are we talking about the Klingon Worf?
Yeah.
Absolutely. To get laughed at, Mel, I almost got kicked out of a group on Facebook because they were saying, "Oh, what's your favorite superhero?" And I said Worf. And I got a ton of hatred.
I
Well,
mean,
I said mine was Bernie Sanders. So
I think we have to define what a superhero is. I mean, Worf is pretty awesome, to be fair.
I was gonna say, judging from the reaction I've seen on Twitter, Elon Musk must be a superhero to some people.
Oh,
God.
I don't have enough barf bags for that conversation.
Okay, so now that we
Here we
completely gonna derail this, having the right to be a scumbag is not freedom.
no,
That's not
it isn't.
that's not freedom. You're still just a scumbag. Like,
Yeah.
leave people alone. It's gonna be awful. I can't wait to where people can start screaming the N-word and sending me dick pics again. Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be
Oh
great.
God! As soon as I came out on trans on Facebook, I had every single dick pic in the world sent to me, like immediately. It's weird.
I am gonna say one thing. At least all this conversation is Elon Musk has stopped all the conversations from people with me who want to have conversations about trans women in sports. It's like, I
Yeah.
don't care.
I don't understand. I thought it was all kind of just hoopla and hype, and then I went on Twitter and I was like, oh, I lost 200 something followers. This is real. People were rage quitting. They're like, bye.
Oh, nuts.
I don't think that's called for. I just don't think Musk is going to do much. It was just.
I don't think he's going to do anything. Honestly.
It was an impulse buy.
Yeah.
It's like he's walking around the Target and it's like, hey, I think I'm just gonna pick up Twitter since it's right there next to the Snickers.
Well,
Oh yeah, did you see the tweet he made directly after that though? After he bought Twitter, he said, "I'm gonna buy Coca-Cola next and bring back cocaine."
Was that was a real tweet?
That was real?
Yeah.
I thought that was somebody doing a parody.
Same. I went on. I went and looked because I'm not blocked.
Oh,
it's real.
It's real. Yeah.
I'm just.
Well, Elon Musk is kind of a parody all unto himself. So.
Yeah, he is.
He's an
Well,
idiot.
I am hoping Elon Musk will do what he has done for so many other things and
And
make
run
a
them
lot
into
of
the ground.
grandiose promises about how fantastic this is going to be, and then do absolutely nothing, and in 2 or 3 years hope everybody forgets what he said.
So as somebody who is the real life Brewster's Millions, does Twitter have a board of directors? Because like in my family business, there's a board of directors. So I couldn't.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, he can't make any real significant changes without getting approval from the board.
I couldn't just go buy a Lambo for no reason.
Also, the EU has already spoken up and said that if he really does change anything about the TOS, they would kind of ban him about the whole freedom of speech bullshit and everything.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I saw the other day that Marjorie Taylor Greene is back.
Oh God, yeah, her.
Yeah. Well, what people on the right don't get about freedom of speech is that freedom of speech includes other people having the right to point out when you're being a douche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of us can't spend $44 billion just to shit post.
Yeah.
He only bought Twitter so that he can make Chelsea Manning's life a living hell, and every other transgender person on the planet.
Also,
he's such an ass.
There's something There's something to say also about the freedom of speech and companies. Companies have no what's that word?
Ethics,
governmental influence, as in.
Wait, what?
Twitter is not the government. First Amendment only applies to the government trying to take away your freedom of speech.
Absolutely.
Companies have every right to say, "Oh, I don't like you. You're banned. Get out."
I mean, when you look at what happened, particularly with like the civil rights movement, where they were having organizations where people were coming together to organize even protests and that sort of thing. Stores, cafes, restaurants had the right to refuse service to anyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're upsetting the customers.
Yeah.
They can kick you out. They can do that even now, sir. You have to leave. You can't behave this way.
Like if they don't like the way you dress, they're gonna like, well, we don't like your outfit, so get out of our company. Get out of our doors. Go.
I mean, there was a whole song called "The Sign Says Long-Haired Freaky People Need Not Apply."
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Do you know in Vegas, you're not allowed to wear certain patches? Like I wouldn't dress like this in Las Vegas. It's because it's the law.
On the other hand, a private business, really can't exclude groups of people. You can't have, a business and have a sign on the door that says "No blacks allowed."
All right.
Yeah. But
that's called protected class.
Yeah, exactly. It's called a protected class. Companies have no right to refuse service to anyone based on their ethnicity, their sexual orientation, or their what was the
disability?
Disability.
Well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Disability.
But if somebody's being a giant asshole in the middle of your donut shop, you can kick them out.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. It has nothing. Free speech isn't you can just walk into a Starbucks and throw your coffee at people and tell them how you hate something. You can't do that.
That's what frauditors don't understand as well, that you can get trespass from anywhere. then if they don't like you being there, they can just kick you out.
All right, I just
Mhm.
want to say something briefly if I can here. Not everything Twitter Musk announced is bad. I just don't think he's going to change anything.
Yeah.
Like, I actually intend to do a brief takedown on it on my channel as soon as I'm done with the calc final next week. And assuming I don't have to start Principles of Statistics right away because ISU loves to do that to me. And they probably will. Because I'm taking courses over the summer, breaking down what I think he's going to do that's good. And the other things I think people are treating Elon Musk like he's some kind of Twitter savior. It's like he's just a billionaire.
Yeah.
He's most. Go ahead.
I wasn't going to say anything. Sorry.
A lot of coming from a really right wing area, people think it gives them the right to be racist online, or be a complete bigot, or tell
Well,
transphobic jokes.
that's exactly the thing. Well, I agree with you. The right wing believes in freedom of speech only as far as their speech goes.
They already
Not
have,
everyone else.
Yeah.
They already have rights to be racist and bigots online.
Yeah.
Aren't you guys thinking of the children? We must all clutch our pearls.
Yeah.
And really be upset about what they're teaching our kids about sexuality.
Especially in the math books. Yeah.
The math books, when they talk about 1 + 1 = 2, that's really a man and a woman. We can't have like another person involved because then that's 3, and that's totally wrong.
In my town, I went to a school board meeting, and I went there to bitch about parking, and because I live near an elementary school, and I walked up, and after an hour and a half of listening to these insane people, I walked up and I was like, I came here to talk about parking, but hearing you guys complain about critical race theory for the past hour and a half is the reason why we need critical race theory.
It's not even.
Yeah.
Like they had, and I asked it, and I turned around, and I was like, "Does anyone even know what it is?"
Actually, I'm surprised.
And no one had a damn thing to say to me because they didn't know. They just came to scream and yell. I told them, like, I'm here to bitch about parking. Next time I'm going first.
Anybody who wants to throw me that shit about think about the children, I'll gladly introduce you to my oldest daughter. Yeah,
So-
she's over 6 foot tall Amazon lesbian.
Exactly.
Are these the same children who told me that the Pythagorean
Give
theorem?
her my number, okay?
Yeah, I was going to say, are these the same children that would have told me this year that the Pythagorean theorem is 2a + 2b = 2c?
These are the same people that said that we need to get rid of Arabic numerals in school.
Yeah.
These
And
are the
teach
same.
sorry. No, I actually had the conversation about teaching American numerals with someone on the bus a couple years ago, and I was trying to ignore him, and then he was like, wouldn't it be ashamed if they taught, I think he said Iraqi numerals, and taught,
Oh, God.
instead of teaching American numerals? I'm like, listen, we use Arabic numerals, you jackass.
Yeah.
Do you know, I thought I would be over it, but I'm still not over people in Texas putting lighters to snowballs and being like,
God.
look. Do you know, even as a Californian, I was embarrassed. And it doesn't rain. It doesn't even rain here.
To address what Mark's saying, isn't there laws in the U.S. that allow discrimination against LGBTQ people?
Depends
And
on what's.
so far, there actually aren't, but there's a lot of legislations that are pushing for them.
So in California, people that are LGBTQIA+ are actually a protected class. So it depends on what state you live in.
Oddly enough, Indiana has some protections because of Mike Pence.
Oh my God.
Oh, he didn't intend to do it. He just screwed up.
I'm in
Yeah,
South Carolina,
probably.
dear, so I'm in South Carolina, so yeah, I know all that bullshit.
Yeah, when NASCAR threatens to pull out of your state because you're too much of a bigot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to be fair, I grew up in a house down the street from like a NASCAR stadium. It was a nightmare.
I could imagine.
I grew up going to events, and as a person of color, again, I went to events in California. I had the time of my life, and I go to I still take my son who has autism, we still go and see Bigfoot in the monster trucks once a year. We go down to Disneyland and watch the trucks.
I mean, that sounds pretty cool, but it wasn't so great where I live. I grew up across the street from a cotton field. And then further
Yikes.
down, you have the
Well, I live in a
motorsports
swamp.
park.
I live in a
Do you
swamp.
know,
So
the first time I ever went to the South, it was real culture shock being from the West Coast. It was real life, like anything east of Texas is culture shock for a Californian.
Actually,
I believe that. I believe that.
moving
different
from
planet. Different planet.
moving from one area of my home state to a different area was a much bigger culture shock than moving from my home state to where I live now, because oddly enough, the coal regions were settled by a different group of people than the non-coal regions of Pennsylvania. And out here, it was mostly settled by Germans anyway, so I mean, there are some differences between the East Coast and the Midwest, but
I'll say this much. Whenever I moved down to Florida last year, it was completely different from living in South Carolina because, one, the cities are much bigger and there were a lot more people. So my anxiety flew through the roof. But,
Oh, I know we had this boring conversation last week, but just in LA County, there's 10 million people. I live on the outskirts, but when 20 years ago, I lived in the city, and it's an experience.
so with all the
You know,
billionaires.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I wasn't going to say anything important.
I was just going to say, I lived in Vegas for 3.5 years. And when I moved back to the South, willingly, I couldn't understand anybody out here for like a solid 2 years. The culture shock and the language, it's like I moved into "Oh brother, where art thou" country. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's pretty
Mel,
much where I live.
when you were in Las Vegas, was it that during the years that you were a showgirl?
I wasn't a showgirl, but I did make short films. I actually took film classes from David Schmoller. He wrote all the Puppet Master films.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
And I had my first short film was in a couple of festivals, so it was kind of cool.
So
I'm a weirdo.
I always had this dream of living in Vegas or San Francisco, but I'm not a millionaire, so I can't live in San Francisco. Well, I don't have money, San Francisco kind of money. And back then I drank, and I had a good friend. She told me, she's like, don't move to Vegas. I wasn't sober for 2 years.
So, tying the question back into tonight's topic, with all the billionaires in the world, why hasn't any one of them dedicated their life to fighting crime and become Batman?
Yeah.
I so would. You
Iron
have
Man.
no idea.
Or Iron Man.
I would have the William wing. It'd just be a big W, just like the Batwing.
Well,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
Batman is more realistic because Iron Man requires technology that doesn't exist.
Well,
Well-
Adam Savage tried.
Oh,
Adam Savage made this too.
kind of does, actually.
To be fair, okay, so coming from the science perspective, when it comes to Batman versus Tony Stark was a child prodigy. Okay. So
Yeah.
he was able to build all kinds of stuff. Now, I do take extreme, like, I question his ability to make adamantium in his own
Oh,
freaking
yeah.
lab. You know,
Oh,
he
yeah.
didn't really have a hadron collider, and he didn't really have all the nuclear technology he needed to
Yeah.
create a brand new element. You know, just for the record, I'm a chemistry professor, but whatever. So he didn't really have all of that. But then you got Batman. Batman was like a low rent Lucius Fox. He got way better with his death when
Yeah.
Lucius came onto the scene. Come on, man. Like the latest Batman film that came out, this is like Batman who's like going junking and looking for like going to yard sales, trying to science. Okay. And then Lucius Fox will come along and be like, let me help you, Bruce. Because this
Let me help you,
is
bro. Let me help
cute.
you.
Let me help you. This is cute and all, but you just you're great with like the fisticuffs, but you can't science so
You
well.
can't check well, yeah.
I love the line. What's the difference between you and me? And Christian Bale says, "I'm not wearing hockey pads." I love that movie. I love that.
Yeah.
I put it in my videos randomly for no reason. I love that clip.
But I think Mel has just hit on an interesting idea: going to yard sales and finding stuff you can do science experiments with.
Yeah.
That's literally my Saturdays. That's like me looking for sewing machines. That's like what I do on Saturdays.
I mean, wouldn't that be a
We
great
we have
feature?
a rummage sale going here this weekend. That let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different towns are all participating in, and it stretches about 20 miles.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I love those things.
That's
Yeah.
fun stuff.
Could I bring a sewing machine on an airplane? Like if I went somewhere, or would I have to mail it to myself?
Well,
You'd
I think you
probably
could
have
bring
to
it on
check
as
it.
as checked luggage.
Like
Yeah, check luggage.
the old, like the ones from the 60s and 70s, they weigh like 40, 50 pounds.
I was
You
going to
don't-
say they charge you extra for it because
Jeez.
of the weight.
That's like $100. Yeah, you'd have to pay like $50 to $100 to check
'Cause
it extra.
I was
It
thinking
might
about
actually be cheaper to send it to yourself UPS.
I was thinking about
Maybe.
doing something extravagant for the tube, but then it's cheaper to get in my car and drive to like Nevada than to fly anywhere, And I was thinking with how expensive it is to mail
Hey!
Hey.
things. I
You
have an
could read
Apple.
my first novel.
I have Barb's Tale in here and an Apple IIe and 3 working copies of Reader Rabbit. If you grew
Okay,
up in the late 80s,
The only surviving copy of my first novel is on Commodore 1541 floppies.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
wow.
But do you have it like a legit tape drive? I have like an audio tape drive for my Commodore 64.
I had one. The problem is I lost all my Commodore equipment.
I actually have a
Ah.
I
story
lost
about.
my whole collection.
I have a story about how the first tape drive showed up in my house when I was a kid. Because my family's first computer was the Commodore 16. Now, these were back in the days before computers had any type of long-term storage or permanent memory. So my dad wrote a huge program to do all of his bills. And he left the computer on overnight.
Oh,
So I
no.
woke up, saw the computer was on, and thought it's like, hey, he's always telling us to turn the lights off, so I turned it off.
Damn.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No.
He was not happy.
I'd imagine not.
Well, he also didn't tell anyone not to turn it off, so.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could at least let
that's an
the post
instance
it.
where you put a sign on the keyboard to explain to people, do not
Do not
touch.
turn off. Yeah.
For
My
pain of death.
So
I had a father who worked for NASA, so like he would threaten our lives. Like, you see that? Don't touch it. You will not live.
well, my father got an associate's of computer science in the 1970s. So. Back when computer science was starting to become a male-dominated field, because it used to be female-dominated before.
Oh my God. Yeah. Women
Yeah.
don't like computer science. They don't like it. Clearly. No,
Didn't
they
Jack
wrote
Black's-
everything.
Didn't
Hold
Jack
on.
Black's mother actually wrote a program for NASA. I forgot what it did. It was something to do with
She
the
was
Apollo
in
11.
labor, and she was still writing that program while she was in labor.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But anyway, the first tape drive showed up after that happened.
Oh my God. I still have my Commodore 64. I have my original Atari. I have like 40 games with it. I've thought about plugging it up to my TV. The TV is like an HD giant freaking TV, and I'm like, this is gonna look so terrible trying to play like 8-bit Pac-Man.
My Raspberry
Yeah,
Pi is
it
hooked
would.
up.
That would look terrible.
My Raspberry Pi is hooked up to my TV.
Oh my goodness! But
I've
I
heard-
kind of want to do it though.
Well, I've heard that some old school gamers have an issue. Here, Will, I was just making you bigger.
Yeah, they like to use CRTs because the modern TVs have too high resolution.
What's that, Will?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know Godless Sewing, but I have a feeling I'm going to
Well,
die
it's
of
an Apple
dysentery
II,
now.
isn't it? It's an Apple II, and is that a K-Pro portable on the right-hand side?
I think that's a compact.
Oh,
Hmm.
you're muted, sweetie.
Oh,
If you're
hold on.
talking.
I think that's a portable.
Sorry. This is from my dad's office. This equipment started at NASA, but he took it with him when he worked at Rocketdyne as well. And I believe this is his Rocketdyne office. And I still have all of the equipment,
Oh, nice.
Cool.
all of it. Oh yeah. This has to be like late 70s, early 80s for sure.
I should
But
take it into
I
some
still
of-
have all the Apple IIe stuff.
I should take that into some of my computer science classes.
And I have a ton of IBM printers, the ones with the tape that would, like all the old school stuff.
I had a daisy wheel printer at one point.
Yeah, that was
do you
one of my
have,
first
like-
printers.
Do you have an electric typewriter? Because I do.
I have like a the one without the
Actually,
have the-
Sloth Girl has an electric typewriter because
Mm.
a lot of shit winds up being pre-printed forms, and there's no way you can get the computer to line up with the spaces, so it's easier to put them in the typewriter filament.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
totally just had a geek out moment with Mel. I apologize. And Kilroy on my old okay, so on NESs, you have to use the old tube televisions. They don't work on any of the plasma TVs or anything from plasma on. So any of the new stuff, it won't work because I have a Sega and an and a Nintendo 64 in
Well,
here.
I heard one of the other issues specifically with the NES is the gun from Duck Hunt will only work on an old
Yeah.
CRT
Oh,
set.
geez.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
Wow.
Also, the acronyms you were looking for were CRT, which does not stand for critical race theory. It stands for cathode ray tube,
Catholic, yeah.
and LCD.
Catholic racist? So TVs are Catholic?
Cathode. I think
I
the word
know,
is
I know.
cathode.
I know, but they said Catholic.
Yeah, Mage.
Catholic Ray Romano
Cathode.
tube.
Yeah, cathode. I know.
Mage,
I'll
I
say
went to
Catholic.
I went to a Tech Institute for Computer Programming in 82, 83. And we were programming on UNIVAC 9030s, which are about 3 times the size of a refrigerator.
Oh my
And
god!
we started out doing the punch card decks.
I wish I still had some of my dad's books on on COBOL and IBM 360 assembler, because his books were talking about things like in the future they'll have disks that can store kilobytes of space, and I have like a book back there from 1995 that's just as hilarious, describing the World Wide Web as not containing much information and not as useful as other services.
Yeah, we were cutting edge. We were the first class at that school that got to use the new Sol line editors, which stored your program on an 8-inch floppy disk, so we didn't have to do the punch cards anymore.
Wow.
If anyone's interested, the Los Angeles Kings lost to the Vancouver Canucks tonight. Is the last game of the season, and I think everybody who's been with us every week, I thank you for putting up with my hockey obsession. But the
I'm
playoffs
sorry.
are coming.
I'm sorry if you're lost.
Sorry for your loss.
It's just a game. I'm not that into sports. If it affects your mood, they better be paying your bills. That's my
And the Bucks beat the hell out of the Bulls, and now they're going to go beat up Celtics.
TV tube, there's actually a thriving industry for repairing old CRT tubes. Also, I happen to know a house that has dozens of them.
I have a question for the gamer folks out there. Did anybody have a chipped PlayStation 1? Because I did, and I have like 50 bootleg games.
No, but I love buying those modulators in downtown LA. You get them for like 20, 25 bucks, and they have like every Nintendo game, and they'll have like 1945 where you can be the plane, and like, or they'll have, this like Galactica. I love those.
You mean
So I have
It's my accent.
I was just gonna say that I have a banned game that was never completed, and it is a bootleg that I have an old chipped PS1 from back in the day. Sony used, I think it was Virgin. Virgin used to actually make video games, and there was this game called Thrill Kill. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but they never
Yes.
finished it. Sony bought out Virgin so that this game would not make it to market, and they turned it into a Wu-Tang Clan fighter game.
I
But
played that. Sorry.
yeah, it's okay. So it's like the original game is so badass. It's like all of these people, they're all characters that are fighting their way out of hell to get back to Earth. One is like a pinhead type, and another one is like a no armed person that is in a freaking straitjacket. Another one is a cannibal that chews on a severed leg. Another one is a freaking contortionist. It's amazing.
You're taking me back. And the funny thing is, the Wu-Tang game is on the long list, is on the short list of games like I couldn't beat. The Wu-Tang
that-
game, like it was
That's
so
like the,
impossible. It was so impossible.
the first version of Death Race 2000 was pulled because it was too violent.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 8-bit technology stuff, and the whole object of the game is see how many people you can kill in a trip between New York and LA or something like that.
Yeah, look at Carmageddon. Look at Carmageddon. I mean, come on.
I can't believe Mel knew about the Wu-Tang game. If you put that in a CD player, me and my friends, we thought we were rappers, and we used to freestyle because Wu-Tang put a bunch of beats on the on the disc. It was awesome. That was awesome.
Oh
Kids,
my
I gotta
goodness.
get going. I have to get up very early tomorrow for a mammogram, and I want my
Okay.
titties to have a good sleep.
Oh, Black
Before they get-
Betty, mammogram. Oh, Black Betty, mammogram.
Squeeze me, baby. Make them
Getting your
pop.
foot- Have fun getting your
Okay.
tits squeezed by a garage door opener.
Don't
know,
forget
yeah.
Night,
All right.
Jenny.
Good night, you folks.
Yeah, you
Bye.
can get one of those.
Bye bye, chat. We love you.
And I'm gonna be singing Black Betty for the next week now. Ram-a-lam.
Mammogram.
Wait, I've got the perfect cure for that. Spider-Man. Spider-Man. Does whatever a spider can.
Do you know, earlier we were talking about Wonder Woman. The 70s theme song it's a jam. I don't care who you are, where you're from, put it on. It bangs. It still holds up to this very day. Great song.
Well, you know, when Captain America throws his mighty shield, the people who oppose his shield are killed.
Yep.
That's the thing. Captain
Wait,
America.
those aren't the lyrics.
Captain America really didn't have any superpowers. He was just really strong, and he threw a shield. Great.
Yeah.
Being on steroids.
That's just him. Exactly. That's just Florida man.
Where I'm from, you just get zits and it ruins your life.
Wait,
No,
isn't-
Florida man is just a beer gut who thinks he's in shape.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. True.
Isn't Florida's man superpower more like the Joker's power, super sanity? That he's
Okay,
so
but-
sane he makes everyone else thinks he's sane. He's insane
No,
by comparison.
if you're-
Florida man's superpower is self-delusion.
If you want
Okay,
a
I'll go
real,
for that one. Sorry.
want a really good quote unquote superhero comic to read, try reading White Knight. That one gets really dark. White Knight basically Batman in the very beginning of it shoves a lot of prescription medication down the Joker's throat that was untested, and it makes him sane again. And so the Joker sues Batman into oblivion, basically. Yeah.
Actually, how could you sue
That's not-
Batman in a civil suit? Because there would be no way to prove what he's worth.
Well, the Joker actually goes after Bruce Wayne for being,
Okay.
a billionaire where he's not doing anything for the slums in Gotham City? Because he has all these billions of dollars, yet he can't help the slums any.
I'm really waiting for the film to come out where Poison Ivy and Dr. Freeze get together as climate scientists
Oh God,
and completely destroy Wayne Corp.
that
And
would be awesome.
they're like, what is Wayne Tech doing for the planet? And
Yeah.
then,
Yep.
you know, paint him as
But that's
this
what-
trust fund bullshit boy.
But that's what
And,
White Knight
yeah.
does. That's basically what White Knight does, but without the climate science and everything.
Mhm.
He yeah, because Bruce Wayne does all these things, you know, philanthropy wise for everybody else, but he can't help the poor people of Gotham City.
I hate
And
it.
if you've noticed, every single fight that happens in Batman happens in the slums. They never, you know, he doesn't ever fight in the rich, expensive part of town. It's always the back alleys and always the poor people who get the raw end of the deal.
Yeah, because poor people don't need sleep, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Batman's slumming it.
they don't have like 2 or 3 jobs they have to do during the day.
You don't see Batman punching out Wall Street.
No, exactly.
Okay, we'll see an unboxing.
He walks up to Elon Musk, punches him in the face, like, you're a cunt.
So I'm obsessed with cheese popcorn, and they don't sell it in my neighborhood because I live in the suburbs. And so I treat myself every once in a while, and I order myself Cheeto popcorn.
Oh God!
Have you ever?
Tell lies at my funeral because I eat like an emancipated 13-year-old.
I mean, I love pop.
You're not gonna live long if you eat like me. And I'm in my 40s.
I love popcorn, but what I do is I get something from the local Walmart, and Walmart pretty much owns this town, called Colonel Seasons.
Oh, Inquisitor Bacon has a good. I would love that myself. The Bat That Laughs. Oh my God, that was.
Hey, Inquisitor Bacon, I didn't see you sneak in.
Okay.
When I lived in Los Angeles, so
Dark
20
Knight
years
was-
ago,
Dark
really
Knight was
quick,
something.
20 years ago, I dropped out of college. I took a bench of peyote and I left Arizona State and I moved to LA. And I had never lived in the city before. And I got introduced to all these really cool things. And also this thing called chasing diabetes. So they don't sell certain foods in the suburbs that they would sell in lower income neighborhoods.
Okay,
So
the
for-
Cheetos popcorn brings up a vital question no one has ever asked.
Okay.
Who would win, Chester the Cheetah or Scooby Doo?
Huh.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
Scooby,
Chester
man.
Cheetah on that one.
I don't know. I'm going to go with Scooby.
I'm
He's
biased.
pretty chill.
I love Scooby, but Chester Cheeto would like get a hitman or something. Chester
Yeah.
Cheeto is crazy.
Plus, Chester Cheetah probably has super speed.
Not from eating all those Cheetos, he wouldn't.
Well, exactly. He
Trust
probably
me.
has diabetes.
I
He has
mean-
diabetes.
I guess it depends on the competition,
gonna
what
say,
is
if you-
going on. If it's like a pie eating contest, then Scooby's totally going to win.
Wait, you
He's-
think that?
You
Sorry.
know.
So Mel, you bring up a really good point. I know what kind of person, what does it take to eat like 40 hot dogs while you're sitting? What kind of gastrointestinal fortitude does it take? Like,
Ask Shaggy and
Uh,
Scooby.
He's
man.
very,
lot of-
very, very high. That's why.
But
I'm
Very
just,
high
you know,
metabolism.
I'm a
very high
normal
metabolism.
I'm not a big city scientist, you know. I'm just a
Yeah.
normal citizen.
I'm
takes
not
a-
either.
It takes
I'm
a
If
lot
you're
of
Marvel.
What?
if you're normal, then I'm a Republican.
Okay, but the only reason I asked that is because I've seen like the 4th of July Nathan's hot dog people eating in real life. It's something to see. You stand there in awe of these people. Like, I would be in the hospital. I'm not into hurting myself, but I don't know how people can do that. That has to be superhuman.
I just have a question. The people here who think the cheetah has diabetes and haven't questioned how they've seen Scooby eat.
Yeah, exactly. Scooby
Okay,
would
there-
definitely have diabetes.
Then they're both smoking cigarettes. Like,
Well.
we're not gonna fight.
Or
I
reading dust.
mean, Chester probably is the folks that do the cocaine. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And
I think
Scoopy's
he
the one that
probably
does the
does.
weed. Yeah, and Scoopy's
Scooby
definitely
does the
smoking weed.
weed.
He's definitely
Chester,
smoking weed. Yeah.
I think he's doing cocaine or speed or something like that.
Bath salts.
He's
Bath salts.
always maybe that or salvia. You never
Salvia.
know.
Yeah, salvia. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, so
Chester is definitely tripping balls on acid.
salvia
God.
doesn't make you freak out. I've smoked salvia. It does not make. It makes you hallucinate, but it does not make you freak out.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
almost had
actually, smoking salvia was the one really hallucinogenic experience I had. And, well, hallucinations can make you freak out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
bad
became
trips do
convinced
happen.
I became convinced I was in a two-dimensional universe and I was going to slide off if anyone turned the page.
the only hallucination I ever had was due to lack of sleep.
A very long time ago, I took a very large amount of mushrooms, and I got so scared I ran to my parents' house, and I didn't even live at their house anymore. I'm just lucky they liked me.
Well, yes, I
LSD.
should
Yeah,
have
I
said
think if I
drug
ran to my
use.
mother's house, while tripping balls, I would get my ass whooped.
No, my
I would
parents
also-
were like, "Oh, dude,
Speaking,
my
speaking of,
parents were
speaking
like,
of my
"Nah."
parents, everybody make sure you go on Twitter and wish my mom a happy birthday.
I also would like to point out that I was about to say the Cheetah did PHP. PHP is a programming language. I meant PCP.
Yeah,
I was
PHP.
about to say.
I was about to say PHP
Is this a new drug?
Yes, yes, it is.
It's the new drug from Elon Musk's acquirement of Twitter.
No, that's
Let's
You
see
know,
now.
honestly, I wouldn't
let
be
me see
surprised if Elon Musk started manufacturing his own drugs at this point. Nothing that man does.
But yeah, I've
So,
done
quick question:
jerk.
Would anyone here pay for Twitter?
I don't know, but I do have a joke. What do you call a
Hello.
stolen Tesla?
What's that?
An Edison.
Edison, yeah. But no, I've had LSD, I've had psilocybin, ayahuasca, peyote.
I have literally never done a hallucinogenic, and I feel like I'm missing out. But at the same time, people have told me I could not handle them.
I'll tell you,
Same.
like from personal experience, if you have any if you have any like hardcore demons and things that haunt you in your life, don't take a major
Don't
drug.
take a no.
Yeah.
Do
See,
not.
this
do
is
not.
this is
Do
where
not.
this is. People are like, Mel, why don't you do like hallucinogenics? I'm like, I have crazy freaking dreams and
Yeah.
I have sleep
Yeah.
paralysis. I don't need drugs. I am drugs.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's fine.
I'll tell you, I had a someone I love, someone I really respect. He probably had schizophrenia, but he took a giant shot of ecstasy and acid, and that was 20-something years ago, and he never came back. For the rest of his life, he will either live in a home.
Aren't hallucinogenics? I know LSD. They say like it stays in your spine. One bad backtrack and you're tripping.
That's the old school.
No,
That's the old school stuff, and yes.
That's one that's only if you take a large enough dose of it for a long enough time. It doesn't really do that if you just do it once. But if you did it, if you were a habitual user, yes, it can.
Yeah, and
somebody
also
told us that.
a lot of that stuff was cut with strychnine and a lot of other stuff, and it goes straight to your spine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
when you're peaking, so like when there was one time when I was peaking, I felt my spine and everything. The truth is, the drugs were just entering my spinal, my spine.
Yeah.
But I was
Also,
freaking out.
And I'll tell you
On
something.
drugs.
If you ever do go to do ayahuasca, be warned there will be a lot of throwing up.
Shut up, Robert.
Do you know that's one drug I've never done? Where I'm from, I'm in my 40s, so my drug doing days are way over. But like nowadays, my
No, they're
neighbors
not.
they'll always say ayahuasca's for rich white college kids.
I'm gonna say I take drugs today, but they're usually things like estradiol.
Well,
drugs in general are becoming a rich people thing because the way prices have gone up. I mean, I mean, I think we all know I sometimes play around with Percocet, and that shit's $1 a milligram.
Not
Level
pot in
Pyroxene.
California. Pot in California. Still affordable.
The only way I did ayahuasca was because my father worked for a very reputable company, and he would often take me on his business trips. And we went to Puerto Rico one time, and I was left on my own, and I found the ayahuasca den, and I was like, "Oh hey, my dad left me with $500."
Oh,
You
that's
know,
nice.
one of the interesting things about living in this.
Anything on these cameras? The cameras here are garbage. Like all the blinds. Do you know what I came into today? I walked in. I'm walking up to the door, and there's a shrubbery about to burst into flames because somebody put a cigarette in the pot, and
Oh God.
there's a perfectly good ashtray 10 feet away.
Well, we
So I
had
had to
another
run
good
in. I
fire
had to
story
run
then.
in, tell my coworker, "Hey, give me a couple water bottles," and then I had to run out and put that out. And it's like
And
I'm used to
actually-
setting fires, not extinguishing them.
That happens a lot at my job because it's out in the middle of nowhere on this windy road, and people will flick their cigarettes out in the middle of a field.
I'm just in a small town. This is a small town hotel. This is not supposed to happen here. Between this and the car theft last week, that one was weird.
You don't have an army of tweakers stealing Cadillac converters.
No, we do
No,
not
we've had
have that. I don't live in Philadelphia anymore.
That's in California. It's epidemic right now. I'm like,
Okay, but in
who is
California,
buying
a lot
all
of
of
things are
these?
epidemic. You people don't even have water there half the time. No, I live in this is a little podunk rat hole town that nobody has ever heard of. These things don't happen here. And it's like the craziness that keeps happening. I'm like, okay, now I feel like a night auditor again. I mean, we all remember when I used to be on these streams and something would pop off at Quality Inn and y'all would hear me dealing with whatever the hell happened this time in the background.
Well, I just want to say, depending on where it is in Pennsylvania, if it is in Pennsylvania, I may have heard it because that's my home state.
No, this is New Jersey. I'm a New Jersey native. I'm out of Pennsylvania for good. I hated Pennsylvania. I never wanted to live in Pennsylvania. I didn't get much of a choice when I moved there. So now I'm back in New Jersey and I'm planning on staying here.
Pennsylvania's great. It's a shame you were in Philadelphia instead. Just waiting for that to sink into some people.
You know, the average American probably wouldn't even know the reference. I always make the joke that most Americans think that Joan of Arc was Noah's wife.
It
God.
wouldn't surprise me if you get a lot of
Oh,
people who would
God.
say that.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Pennsylvania's.
I've
You
been told
know, that's a quote from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
I've
I've
been.
never seen.
I got that from Kate
Will.
Swarthwaite.
Hey, Will. Speaking of Bill and Ted, guess what I'm about to say?
The
Do you know they
excellent to each
filmed?
other?
Do you know they filmed that in my hometown? And I'm so offended that you've never seen that movie.
James.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Those movies bring me back to the good old days when we had a radio, when you could actually build a robot at a Radio Shack, when they had actual components.
I'm just happy that I can break it to you guys that I haven't seen a movie and for once not get yelled at home. I mean,
No,
Will, you were on the sofa earlier. Well, every time I saw something I hadn't seen, you hear Matt in the background. Oh my God!
You know what it is? I'll tell you that pre-internet people, we all, in a weird way, we all saw the same movies, we read the same books. So there's certain references that people get. Your generation makes me want to cry sometimes because you haven't seen E.T. or The Abyss or there's certain movies.
Most of my generation has seen E.T. I'm just living under a rock.
Tech person being pedantic here. When you were born?
Me?
No, Godless Zoe.
Oh,
in the late 70s.
You have lived through the internet your entire life.
Yep.
Okay,
I was born in '94, so
I didn't.
Yeah, but the internet came online in 1969.
Yeah, but it really wasn't, a publicly available and used thing until the early 90s.
My pops worked for NASA, and we still read books and talked to each other and communicated, and technology didn't really take over until I'm aging myself. Till I had my Nintendo and
mid
my portable.
'90s.
Yeah,
mid '90s.
Well,
the internet
didn't. Everyone your age may have seen E.T., but most of them probably think they had walkie-talkies instead of guns.
Mm, I wouldn't know. I don't associate with very many people of my own in my own age, as evidenced by the fact that I tend to go for older men.
Well,
Josh
the
was 2 years old. Josh was 2
I
years older than me. Now Matt's 4 years older than me. My ex-husband is 8 years older than me. I prefer these older men, so I wouldn't know the first thing about what people my age think.
I'm
the tail end,
biased. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
at the tail end of Generation X, I just want to make sure you know this important piece of information. Han
Okay.
got first.
Of course, Han shot first. Of course, Han shot first.
Well,
People
yeah.
still think that.
I could never understand how that was even a discussion. That was so clear in the first movie.
Because he edited that. Because George Lucas edited that bit out.
Okay, so all I gotta say is, guys, if you saw Rogue One, was it not so freaking awesome to see just how evil Darth Vader was in the last 5 minutes of the film?
Oh, I liked Rogue One.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. It was worth it.
I
was.
haven't seen it
You
yet.
see that freaking lightsaber light up in the middle of the smoke, and you're like, "Oh God, Daddy's home."
Yep. Oh, absolutely,
haven't seen it.
absolutely.
Honestly, though, at the end of Rogue One, seeing Carrie Fisher's face CGI'd onto another body.
Yeah,
I remember it came out right after she died, and I was just like,
Okay, so as
Mark,
I
that's not-
actually. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. That's not quite correct. The internet was invented as a way to make sure there could still be some form of communications after nukes were launched.
Yeah.
Again, I'm pre-internet. Like, there's certain things where if I don't like something, I'm not going to say anything about it. The access that we have to each other and like to the producers of movies and stuff, we didn't have that back in the day. So when they made a movie, you watched it and you like complained to your buddy, like, "Hey, have you seen blah blah blah?" But it wasn't like you and 7,000 other people can complain about it. It's just the hatred for like Doctor Who and Discovery really tripped me out as a hardcore
But-
Star Trek and Doctor Who fan. It
But
just
a lot of people,
I
don't
didn't get it.
A lot of people like the new Doctor Who.
No, I thought-
I only know the
I'm just gonna casually remind Will that I've never seen Doctor Who.
I only know the early Doctor Who. I only know like through Colin Baker.
I mean,
Who?
No, Tom Baker. You don't.
Tom Baker.
There was
You
a
Yeah.
Colin
haven't
Baker
seen
there,
Tom
didn't
Baker?
Colin Baker was
Oh,
like
hold
2
on.
or 3 doctors after Tom Baker.
That was
Oh
the
yeah,
80s.
Colin
because yeah,
Farrell.
Tom was
Peter
the fourth.
Davidson.
Yeah, Tom was the fourth. Yeah, so
He
he
was
was like
the-
the seventh.
He was the best actor with the worst script. I miss the 80s.
Sounds like it's describing Nicolas Cage. Good actor, bad script.
Yeah, I thought Peter Davidson didn't get enough credit either.
Well-
and yeah, he didn't get many good scripts.
Yeah.
Those were amazing episodes though.
Yeah.
Peter Davidson's another one.
So-
Absolutely amazing.
I'm Gen X. I'm actually Gen X, but I wasn't introduced to Doctor Who until Christopher Eccleston.
Me neither. I also wasn't introduced until Christopher Eccleston, but
Okay.
He was
after
my
I
first
watched,
Doctor. Yeah.
after I started watching the Chris Eccleston ones, I went back and watched some of the older ones and fell in love with Tom Baker.
Actually,
So
I need
fun
to go
fact-
back and look at the Tom Baker ones because there was like Tom Baker. I've tried to go back and watch from the very beginning, and it's way too
Wait.
weird.
And the
Yeah.
Christopher, I love those. I smoke a lot of weed though, Mel, so I love those. The Christopher, the Ninth Doctor, there was in the first episode, Rose, she gets online and she contacts this guy. That website is still up. It's
Really?
The Bad
who
Wolf?
is who is doctorwho.co.uk. It's an app on my phone. I've had 4 iterations of my iPhone. It's on every single one of my iPhones that I own because I always get my phone cloned. I don't even know how it became an app. But it's been on. It's the Contact Clive from the first episode.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
still-
Okay.
it's still online to this very.
You
day.
guys will probably love this. I had no idea that the Doctor could regenerate. So after Eccleston shifted into Tenet from 9 to 10, I'm like, this is the
First
worst
5, 6.
show ever. I was so mad because I was like, who does this? Who Who does stuff like this? This is terrible. This is horrible. Because I loved Eccleston as a doctor.
I
And
did
then
too.
and then Tennant comes along, and I'm like, by like the second or third episode, I was all in. It took me like 2 seasons to get used to Matt Smith, and it took me
Oh, I love
twice
Matt
as
Smith.
long.
I love Matt
God.
Smith.
And
Okay.
I actually, I went to Comic Con in San Diego and got to ask questions to the panel, and I'm still salty, guys.
Which
I-
one? Which
don't-
one did you go to?
It was I think it was 2011 or 2012, something like that. Matt Smith came out there with Amy Pond, all of them.
Oh,
They
that's
were all
awesome.
there, and so I was at Hall H. I'd been there since 2 in the morning, and the producers were like walking up and down. They had Glee there. They had Glee at Hall H. I'm like, why is Glee here? This is terrible.
I have
So
to
I
look at
went. I went and got in line because I wanted to ask a
love
question for like the Doctor Who panel, and the next was Supernatural, and they don't clear out the seats in between each discussion. So if you want to sit and actually ask a question, you have to get there at the very beginning. So the Doctor Who panel was at 11 in the morning, and I had been there since 2 in the morning. So I dressed as like kind of like, I wasn't like super heavy in cosplay or anything. And so the producers were walking up and down, and I wanted to ask Matt Smith because my name is Melody, and my name is actually technically that of River Songs. And I'm like, this is going to be so cool. I'm going to like go and ask a question. And my question was going to be for Matt Smith about what did he feel like he brought to the Doctor that was his individual contribution that wasn't directed, you know? And they were like, well, other people are asking Matt Smith questions. And it was stuff like, what is your advice to get into acting? It was like crap like that.
Ew.
It was like not even interesting. They said other people are asking Matt Smith questions. You need to ask the writers and directors questions. I said, fine. I'm like, okay. So at the time I was working on my first degree in science. I said, fine. Okay. I just sat through Battlestar Galactica. They had their own science advisor. So I thought, well, do you guys have a
Wait,
science
they had their own science
advisor?
advisor?
Yeah. So
Did
I
they
was
ever
like,
use it?
no, they fucking didn't. Oh my God.
Stupid.
This is what's horrible. I'm still salty, guys, and I'm not okay. So it's like I stood there and I said, fine. And the producer's like, well, you're not even in cosplay. We're just going to pull somebody behind you. I had been there for 9 hours, and these assholes at Comic-Con were like, well, we're not going to let you ask this question unless you ask the producers and writers a question. I said, fine. Do they have a science advisor for Doctor Who? Oh, that's a great question. We'll let you ask that question. I'm like, God, I swear to God. It's like, I deserve a Nobel Peace Prize for not shooting everybody or punching them in the face at that moment. So I go up there. I'm like,
I can relate to that.
I'm like, hi, my name is Melody. And, you know, it's like literally the same name as Riverside. And Matt Smith's like, wow, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, thanks for that. So it's probably on YouTube somewhere. Anyway, so then I asked the question. The writers and the directors openly make fun of me in Hall H. And guess what they do 2 months later? The Science of Doctor Who with my favorite fucking physicist, Professor Brian Cox.
Oh God! Wow.
I'm like, they were like, oh, the science of sexy vampires. I'm like, they openly made fun of me in front of all those people and then did an entire special show 2 months later. And I'm like, I want to scream. But fortunately, I got into a lot of cool parties, and I got to hang out with Kevin Smith from Clerks. So that was all right.
Oh, Kevin Smith
So-
is awesome.
Kevin Smith is. I hear Kevin Smith is cool.
Yeah, I heard Kevin Smith's awesome.
I got to hang out in his living room in the Hollywood Hills. It was amazing. He's a wonderful person. I
How
have
many-
Yo, I
nothing
love
bad
that
to
for
say about
you.
him.
How many
I
of you
would,
seen?
I would love. It's on my bucket. I would love to smoke a blunt with Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
How
He's
many of you have
just-
seen?
It's against their probation.
How many of you have
Why
seen the
am I
Netflix?
not? You know what? I haven't even seen all of those movies, but I've seen Clerks and I've seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So
So, as someone who lives in
I
LA,
think it's a
like,
Mallrats too.
How many of you have seen the Netflix series Jessica Jones?
I have.
No,
I've seen a little
Nope.
bit of it. I
Nope.
saw like season 1, I think. That's about
Actually,
it.
I think it's on Disney Plus now.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. It was super triggery for me because I had like a
need to get
real
Disney
actual
Plus.
stalker. It was pretty bad,
I need
but
to get Disney
yeah.
But it was.
I'm dealing with a stalker. I'm dealing with a stalker right now.
Yeah, but David Tennant plays that character.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
oh, speaking of stalker, whoever sent me the embroidery machine, thank you. And this is your friendly reminder: don't come by my house because I fight.
I cannot imagine you fighting anybody. Shooting somebody maybe, but I cannot imagine you
Yeah.
fighting somebody.
I live in, you know what the funny thing is? I live in the neighborhood where all the cops live. So if I
Hopefully you
was
do.
to yell help, they probably would shoot that person.
Yeah, but why give someone else the satisfaction when you could shoot them yourself?
No, like where I live, it's
Mhm.
paranoid central. We all have cameras. I have 4 cameras right here. We're on this weird like yuppie network like messaging thing where we all can see each other's text messages. So we're on this giant text message thing. We're like, hey, some creep is like
That's really Orwellian, and I don't like that. I hate that. That's creepy.
Welcome to the modern era.
Hey,
You like
you
to
know
guess
what?
how long we've been living in a cyberpunk dystopia?
I'll tell you
We're
a
in 1984, honey.
long time ago, back when the kids were younger,
1984 was a romance novel, by the way.
a bunch of the dads, we were all
No, it wasn't.
outside, and there was a car that kept on coming around. We took the license plate down. We had my cop neighbor run it, and there was a man and a woman who were convicted of snatching children.
Jesus.
Did they drive a blue van?
Yeah. No, it was like a modern sedan. But my whole point is like in the modern era, like you have to keep your eyes open. People are creeps. Like, you know, the world's changed.
Do you remember that scary story from the 80s about a blue van that had like heart-shaped windows?
Here it's the white van. Here in LA, it's the like if you're a serial killer or a weirdo or something, like it's the panel white van with no windows, you know.
Don't make me feel guilty for driving a minivan.
I drive a big white truck, you know. I'm not but my truck has windows.
My van has windows too, but it's still a minivan. It's not one
But
of
yeah, it ticks me off that so many people don't recognize that 1984 was indeed a romance novel.
Well, there was a romance plot in it. I wouldn't call it a romance novel.
It's definitely not a romance
Yeah, I
novel.
would say
It's
the same.
dystopia.
I don't think anybody watches that and go, "Hey, I'm hot and bothered tonight."
Well, not like
Like,
not like that. Not that type of romance novel. Most of the plot concerned his love for, I can't remember the character's name. It's been ages since I read that novel, but most of the plot has to do with an unrequited love between two characters that can't love each other because of their because of Big Brother, essentially.
The love is
So
not
this is-
unrequited.
Well, not unrequited, but forbidden. That's the word I was looking for.
So
Forbidden love.
it's Romeo and Juliet in a really weird
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, well,
Kinda, yeah.
it was a major thing of driving the plot that they had to, have these secret rendezvous and,
Yeah.
hide that they were having a relationship.
Which
Yeah.
eventually
Backfired on
affects
them.
the
Yeah.
secret police often. But
Yeah.
Huh.
But most of the major plot was about the romance and about them having sex in different locations. But
so, Godless Sewing, I'd like to take books conservatives don't understand for a 500.
Mm.
No, I was just thinking how I recently reread Stranger in a Strange Land, and I did not understand it when I was a kid because I recently read it and I'm like, oh, I get it now.
That's okay. I thought
I was just gonna say, like, the song "Relax" by Frankie Goes to Hollywood has a completely different meaning when you get old enough to understand what he's talking about.
when you get older and you realize that Bill Murray in Ghostbusters is really kind of a sexist jerk.
A bit.
Yeah,
Oh
well,
my
a bit.
god.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I
a
have,
bit.
as someone who watches old school television, like 70s and 80s television was way I don't even want to say the R word, but it was over the line. Like
Yeah,
we don't
Oh,
talk like that anymore. We don't treat people like that anymore. We don't
well, and the 80s was
Ugh.
way over the line for toxic masculinity all
Yeah.
over the place.
Yeah. Married with
Oh
Children.
god.
Look at Married with Children, for instance. Oh God.
Well, Married with Children was just a repackaging of All in the Family, just
Yeah.
with a sexist instead of a racist.
I
And I watch 'em-
love
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say I love John Hughes films, and that's one of the things. Like with Kevin Smith, Jersey Girl was a homage
Mhm.
to a John Hughes film. She's having a baby, and I actually had a back and forth with him quite a bit on Twitter about that, which is weird. But the Ferris Bueller film is so incredibly racist, and you don't really see it until you're much older and it slaps you in the face. Like
That's
it's
why.
a bit racist at the end where they have all the black people doing the Thriller dance to Twist and Shout when he's in the parade, and then you've got all of these other things. Those films were not made for the black experience more so than the Midwest white individual teenagers, which
That's
when
is
that's
when I
one of
was
the
a
fine.
reasons.
kid,
So
That's one
when I
of the
was a
reasons.
kid, oh sorry.
I was about to say that's one of the reasons I loved the original Star Trek series was because they tackled stuff like racism and sexism head on,
But they
and
did
they
it
were
badly.
they did it badly, yes, but they at least tried to.
In the
Yeah,
80s,
considering the era they were in the late 60s.
Yeah, the late '60s. You gotta remember
I
the time.
I
The
was an
late '60s.
avid moviegoer in the 80s and the 90s, and my brother and I, we used to bet, like, all right, I think the black guy is gonna die within the first 7 minutes of the movie, and he'd be like, nah, man, the first 11. And we would sit there with our watches and be,
Uh,
all right, you won.
the timing of when that happens doesn't matter. This is how I say it. Okay, if the black guy lives, that's how you know there's going to be a sequel.
The problem, no, the problem was the
That worked for Blade.
acceptance. It was the acceptance of
Blade, yeah.
institutionalized racism.
Guess
It was
what?
like,
I've
oh,
never seen Blade.
we can do this. I'm not surprised. It said we can do whatever we want to these people. Is basically it's institutionalized
Yeah,
racism
well,
at its
Yeah.
best.
It,
Wait,
it was
hold
showing
on.
that black people were disposable.
I can
Yes.
think of one
Yes.
I can think of one movie where the black person lives and there is no sequel.
What?
Blazing Saddles.
Oh God.
Oh, I love that movie.
I'm
Well,
trying to think.
technically, Robin Hood Men in Tights was a sequel.
Okay, how do you
what
get
was his
that?
name?
That I'd love to know.
that really wasn't a sequel. That was a
I know it
completely different
wasn't.
film.
I know. I was joking. I was
At
joking.
two, my father was a sneeze.
Sneeze. I love Men in Tights.
Fred
That was one of my
Williams.
favorite movies.
Fred Williamson was an actor who was in a bunch of like blaxploitation movies, and in the 80s and
Dolomite.
90s, he had it in his contract where he couldn't be murdered in the movie, or like shot in the butt or anything like that.
Oh,
I recently heard a conversation
love
about it, and I was like, oh wow.
Can we get Kevin Sorbo's agent to put a clause into his movies that he's not allowed to act?
Why?
Yeah, please.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Kevin
so
Sorbo.
I was
I gotta
feeling
go clean
froggy.
coffee pots. It is getting late, so I'm gonna head out of
Okay.
here.
See you later.
Later.
See you later.
Hi.
About
I
a
actually-
month ago. About a month
Used
ago.
to, I actually used to love Kevin Sorbo's not films but his TV series. Like, are Hercules, Andromeda.
Andromeda was amazing.
Andromeda was awesome, except for how he treated the actress on off camera.
See, but the thing is now,
was
now
terrible.
I can't go back and watch Andromeda though because Kevin Sorbo is a horrible person.
Yes, he is. No, did you hear about? Okay, did you hear about how he treated the what's her name? The one who played the Avatar for on the ship.
Lexi Dong.
Yeah. Repeatedly throughout the shootings, he would slap her butt. Like every single opportunity he got, he would slap her on the ass.
Do you know in modern California he would go to jail for that?
And he forced that scene where he had to kiss her. She didn't want to do the scene.
Oh my
She-
god.
She
She's
did not
married,
want to do the scene.
She's
And he
married
forced
to
it.
Daniel. Sorry, she's married to Daniel Jackson.
You don't really end up in Christian movies because you've had a successful career.
No, you don't.
Well, to be fair, Andromeda was more of like the WB weird Scientologist
Yeah.
push, you know. Same with Earth Final Conflict. That was kind of a Scientology, and I love that show. It's literally on a playlist on my
But
channel.
also, one
But
of
it's
the
kinda-
things, what was the name of the station that the Nietzscheans were from?
I don't know.
Ayn Rand Station. The name of the station was Ayn Rand Station.
I have
Oh.
some hilarity for you guys. Kirk Cameron is coming to my town, and they're selling tickets for him to be at a local movie theater so he can talk with homeschoolers about how to do things. And I'm like,
What?
guys,
All right.
I'm an actual chemistry professor and educator, science communicator. I'm cheaper than he is, and I promise they'll learn more.
as a parent who homeschools, I would not let that man within 2 counties of my child.
No.
Here's
I
the-
would-
Okay,
no.
Porpoise is trying to say something.
I've got a plan for you if you're anywhere near Nashville. And I really wish I could have spent more than 3 weeks there, but that boss was an ass. And that job fell through. But tell him to go to Nashville, into one of the big parks, and announce publicly that this is Country Music City. Have him repeat it until the residents finally have had enough. And I think your Kirk Cameron problem will be solved.
I still think Kirk Cameron was abducted by aliens in the 80s.
Probably.
And what
It would
we're
make
seeing
sense.
is the clone.
That would make sense.
Because one day he decided to show up and destroy his
Yeah.
television career.
But
Well,
what
that's
if
the same thing with Kevin Sorbo, except for Kevin Sorbo was always a sexist asshole. But
But what if the actor in Growing Pains was the clone? And
Oh,
this is
now
the
I
real
have
Kirk Cameron.
Ooh.
Now I have the theme song in my head.
Oh god.
Oh god.
And Alec Thick's kid is such a jerk with the blurred lines crap. Robin Thicke.
On the other
Ugh.
hand, Word Crimes was a great song.
I never got into his music.
Weird Al's a great singer. You should check him out.
Oh, Weird Al?
You mean the other guy?
Oh, I thought I know Weird Al's entire catalog. Alan Thicke or what's his
Robin
name?
Thicke. Robin
Robin
Thicke.
I
Yeah.
never got into Robin Thicke. Oh, Weird
Well-
Al. I love Weird Al.
Word Crimes was a parody of Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines.
Weird Al is great.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
that's great.
I got
See,
to
but-
meet him once. I've got an autographed copy of Bad Hair Day from it.
Actually,
How
I
tall
remember-
is he?
Just
I loved
maybe
him
a
in My Little Pony.
Maybe a little short, 5'6", 5'7".
I loved him in my.
Really?
I loved him when he was in My Little Pony. That was awesome.
I remember that
That
there
was
was
an
a
awesome episode.
He gave a concert in some small Pennsylvania town or city, and people were coming up to him with burnt CDs of his albums and asking him to sign them.
Wow.
I think
Oh,
"Don't
okay.
Download the Song" was about a year after that, but
Yikes. Now I just have blurred lines blaring in my head.
God, I hate that song.
Why is there a certain innuendo you don't like, or is he just an arse? Did I smoke too much today,
Because
or
it's rape culture, I think. Wasn't that a complaint?
Yeah.
I don't get, it's not my genre of music. Like, I'm not into Bruno Mars. I'm not into certain things because it just wasn't my time. I still listen to like Dr. Dre. I'm old.
I like Dr. Dre, all of that, but the blurred lines crap. He's like, I know you want it. And I'm like, this is so just
Trashy.
yeah, and I'm an assault victim. So I'm sitting here listening to this going, I
No,
didn't want any of this. So it's just terrible.
I understand. It's like when I went back and watched the old James Bond, like the Sean Connery, like
Hmm.
those were terrible. It was terrible. You know, you would go to jail if you acted like that today. You would go to jail.
Yeah.
Ask Harvey
Hopefully.
Weinstein.
I live in, I live in liberal
Yeah.
land. Like, you can't touch people where I live. You will go to jail.
Really?
Like,
Here, really? Here, it's almost expected you have a gun.
there's a saying, like, we have laws against that.
I don't know. I just want to start replacing some of the Trump flags on those diesel coal rollers with trans pride flags.
Some
No,
days are not good days for battle.
especially with Trumpers. If people are
Yeah.
still wearing Trump gear right now, first off, you're in a cult, and as someone who works with mentally disabled adults, you have to help people like that.
My
Indiana.
neighbor, yeah, my
Well-
neighbor, he had a Trump flag, and it used to hang from 2 points. It was one of those long, thin banner flags, and so it would
Yeah.
hang from 2 points. And then it was hanging from 1 point for a very long time. I'm like, that's very strangely appropriate because you're like, it's about to die.
Yeah,
And you
There actually was a serious study done that they took some of these people and they did find that if they could just get them to not watch Fox News for a week, they actually became more rational and could see a lot of the problems in the stuff they had believed.
I
Well, are you
know
sure?
some. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just thinking because honestly, if I decide to get something after my bachelor's, I kind of want to, like, my focus for computer science is machine learning. I actually want to like study the way these algorithms are affecting people, which I think is also sociology. But I have to wonder, is it just Fox News? Because you can turn on talk radio and get the same crap you'll hear on Fox News.
Yeah, but the thing was that for people who had been watching Fox News as their primary or their sole source for news, that it actually wasn't that hard to deprogram them if you could get them away from Fox News.
I actually
Yeah.
know someone who got diagnosed with anxiety during the pandemic, and one of the things that their doctor told them was to stop watching the news.
yeah.
She was a hardcore Trumper. She was one of those people that tried to
Yeah.
convince me about ivermectin, and like it all went away when she stopped watching the news.
Well, fortunately, I learned that even before Trump got into politics. Was that just limiting how much news exposure I have helps my background stress level quite a lot.
I
Over
tend
in-
to
oh,
agree
sorry.
with that.
Yeah, the problem is finding that balance between staying informed and staying sane.
I had to do that. Well, as a young atheist a couple years ago, I would sit around and watch atheist content all day. Let me tell you what I don't do anymore. If you watch too much of anything, it'll warp you.
I just want to say one thing, though. given all these ivermectin people, as Bobcat Goldthwait said in a Mad TV sketch I can't find now, natural selection. It's only natural.
She was my
Yeah.
friend, and I was trying to help her to just step out of the stupidity. She was my friend, but she you can't I always say you can't reason with those people. It's from personal experience, and I on if you have an iPhone, you can block people. I had to block her because we would get in these arguments, and I'm like, why are we arguing over people that aren't even in our lives? Like Trump doesn't pay my bills.
Yeah.
I don't care about Donald Trump or any of those people.
Shortly after Trump was elected, I had a friend who thought it would be a great idea to join the Proud Boys. He did not understand why I objected to that.
Yikes.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to sign off, but it's been great chatting with you guys.
Awesome.
It's great to see you, Mel.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming in.
Well, stay safe, guys, and don't drink the Kool-Aid, I guess. Bye.
See you
Good luck
later.
reading finals.
Bye.
But James Jones had those really cool glasses and that brush cut. Yeah, but I kind of agree with you, Porpoise, about the ivermectin people. It was so sad to watch someone that I respect fall down that line and believe. I come from the generation where you don't believe everything you hear on television.
Well, it's also before, I didn't want to accept this guy was a fascist, but he's a fascist. And I don't think he understood why a trans person would object to him wanting to join the Proud Boys. It's like, but Antifa does this. It's like, I don't care about Antifa. The problem is you're joining a group that regularly goes out and beats trans people up.
Absolutely. They around here, yeah, they do. People have come from out of state.
And you should get these people to pause and ask them, if you're anti-fascist, what does that mean?
This is a guy who you'd have to know him. My first impressions of him are what I should call him, that he was a bullshit artist. And I've heard him say ridiculous things like there's no proof fracking causes earthquakes. You can do a quick Google search and find there's tons of evidence fracking causes earthquakes.
Exactly. Just off the top of my head.
And then he'll still deny it.
We have people that believe that the Earth is flat, sweetie. So
it bothers me. I don't know why flat earthers bother me so much. I don't know why, but it just gets under my skin. Why do you exist, flat earthers? Why?
Yeah,
until I got active on Twitter, I never even gave any thought that anyone considered flat Earth seriously. I thought it was just a running joke from old cartoons.
Same, and YouTube.
Also, just to let people know, disagreeing with authorities is not quote unquote thinking for yourself. It's just disagreeing with authority.
Well, neither is citing authority and appeal to authority here. It's only an appeal to authority fallacy if you're saying this person is right because they're an authority.
Yeah, exactly. So just disagreeing with science doesn't make you think for yourself, essentially.
Yes, Kilroy. Twitter is a cesspit, but at least we have Elon Musk for now to make it smell like roses.
I was just about to say the same thing.
He's going to inject Twitter with the cocaine.
I've actually backed off of Twitter because of the amount of hatred and dick pics that I've received, and I kind of put them in the same light.
I have found that the Twitter logarithm is actually very easy to teach. It goes so much by what you click the like on. That, I was getting all the bullshit and all the trans hate and all this stuff, and I couldn't deal with it anymore. So I was ignoring all those threads. And it only took about 2 days for me to change my entire Twitter feed to nothing but kittens and paleontology.
Well, all I get is D&D stuff, so D&D and VTubers.
I got a lot of computer science stuff.
My problem is I follow everyone back because I think it's really pretentious if you don't. But then
The same thing.
you have to weed out the weirdos and the real weirdos,
Yeah.
not the Star Trek geeks who read books like the. There is somebody who I don't know how many sock accounts they have, but I've blocked. I know it's the same person because they keep on sending me the same D pic over and over, but they're obsessed with sending me pictures of themselves. Like, okay, you've created a sock account just to show me your junk. Like, I've blocked you 20 times. Don't you get it?
Wait. First of all, I don't automatically follow, so. Secondly, you should set your settings so they can't just direct message you if they don't follow you.
Oh no, it's only if you can only DM me if you follow me.
Yeah, I gave up on sock accounts a couple of years ago. You know, I created 700 sock accounts and I still couldn't get over 300 subscribers.
You know, I
remember-
don't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just caught someone using a sock account once using a script kiddie trick, and they're just holding my it. And they've turned me into a super hacker. It's like, anyone can do what I did. It's not that hard.
I just don't have the dedication and the care to do that. Like,
Yeah. I don't have the energy for it. There are so many better things I could be spending my time on, which I am also ignoring and not doing, but that's beside the point.
I did create a backup channel just because I obsessively use copyrighted content. So one day they will just erase my channel.
It depends on how you use them.
Well, my channel's gotten deleted twice already because of copyrighted content, but that we fought the copyright strikes and won, but still.
Hey, YouTube deleted my channel twice before I uploaded my first video.
Oh,
wow. Wow.
I will say this for YouTube, for their staff or whoever works there, they almost deleted my channel over me putting Faith No More in a video. And they were like, we need an explanation. And I put, hey man, I just want to rock out and entertain people. And they took the strike away.
Wow.
I said but I wrote those words like, hey man. And so whoever read it was like, all right, this guy's just a stoner. He's not here to make a ton of money off of it.
Yeah, well, why?
Ours is because we're a reaction channel, and yeah, some people don't like us reacting to things.
I don't know. There are some people that are just hilarious to react to. Like, who was that guy last year who got disinvited from CPAC? Young Pharaoh. It's like, if you know anything about modern technology, it's like, COVID is not caused by 5G.
Yeah.
They're not microchipping you. And then you see this guy there complaining about putting a chip in to track you while he's on an iPhone.
I have a patch. I have a patch that says "Silence 5G skeptics," and it has a sword. I need to put that on a coat.
Well, and people were, talking all about these tracking chips they're putting into everybody. And it's like, I get those in my pets. My cat has a tracking chip. First of all, it took a needle about 10 times the size of the one they used to give you the vaccine with. Secondly, they can't read that chip unless the scanner is within 2 inches of his skin.
And third, you already do it willingly. They don't need the chip. It would be a waste of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you carry around a phone all day with you that has GPS on it that they can track.
Yeah. Some other entertaining things he said are black people can perform photosynthesis if they replace the magnesium in their blood, the iron in their blood with magnesium.
What?
He said it.
I've made Doc watch this man named Bobby Hemmett who actually makes the same claim.
Yeah, that's my I mean, this is why I love this guy, because a lot of, I mean, if he's talking about like racial issues that are more sociology, he's slightly off or he's actually right. But then we'll go off on science or technology, and they'll be like, "What?"
I agree with Robert X. Like, put a tracking chip in me. You'll see how predictable I am.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
am a-
what was the point in putting tracking chips in people at the time when they were telling everyone to stay home and not go anywhere?
Make sure they're
Yeah.
staying home. Because apparently Bill Gates, who was trying to give away his money, wanting to waste a lot of money to make chips that his company wouldn't have, as a software company, wouldn't have made anyway, using technology that didn't exist, just so he could track people less efficiently than cell phones already could.
Yeah.
People make stuff up about Bill Gates, just how they invented the devil. Everybody needs someone to hate.
Oh, there are plenty of reasons to hate Bill Gates. That's not one of them.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. He's actually a bad person. But I've heard some pretty people tell tall tales and whoppers about Bill Gates, and I'm like, do some real research and like find out why he's horrible, and it's not because of the crap they're making up.
Well, actually, legitimately having to do with the COVID, Bill Gates did buy the patent on one of the first COVID vaccines.
Well, he prevented it from being open sourced, which is the controversy.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Basically, in doing so, though, he has prevented, a lot of poorer countries from manufacturing their own vaccine.
But I think one of the justifications for that was something I didn't know about called the Cutter incident. After the polio vaccine was basically someone who didn't quite understand what open source was afraid it would be public domain where anyone could make it. But apparently some chemical got into some batch of polio vaccine that wasn't good. But the fact is, as far as I know, actually there's been one vaccine that's been open source for use in India, and I think it's actually doing pretty well.
Kilroy, we have those chips at my job where people don't even have to check in anymore because they have a card, and when they drive past it clocks you in.
Yeah, well, those are the same kind of things they use on the toll booths now.
So they can't front what time they got to work.
I mean, one of the advantages of near-field communications is that the small distance means it's harder to hack. Not impossible. I'll never tell you anything's impossible to hack.
Yep.
I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because it's bad for you. But they do not sell this stuff in my neighborhood, but they sell it in South LA. It is so good, but it's bad for you.
That might be more of a marketing thing, but I maybe living in, I guess you'd call it an exurb here.
Hey, I've always wondered about that, because where I live, we have a bunch of Whole Foods, a bunch of like, it's yuppie land here.
Yeah, but we have a lot of poor white people here too, though. So, so you'll get things like it's not Whole Foods; it's a place called Fresh Time, which is and another place called Basler's. It's catering to a slightly higher income bracket, and then you have Walmart. We have 2 Aldis and a place called Save A Lot that are catering towards the lower end, and places like Kroger's in between. So yeah, you can go get like the wholesome organic foods if you want, or you can go to Walmart and get junk food.
Well, one of the things I like living here is we've got a couple of chains. It's called Cashwise and Colburn's. And, Cashwise is just your basic supermarket for anybody. Colburn's is the one that's just, like for the slightly higher middle class people, that it's a bit cleaner and that there's a bit more service. But they're both owned by the same company, and it's an employee-owned company.
I wish everything here in Southern California is owned by a major corporation. Almost everything here. We just got Aldi's, like within the past four years.
I really miss having the Amish stores.
Yeah, I'm about the same way as Kilroy. I live in pretty much the middle of nowhere. If it's not basic, you're not going to get it. You got to order it.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, until I got back to Minnesota, I was living in a rural town in Upper Michigan. That it literally was the nearest Walmart was driving an hour into Wisconsin.
The nearest Walmart's around 45 minutes away from me.
wait, you don't have 2 Walmarts and a Sam Club within driving distance?
No.
Same. I have one
Hell
within.
no.
I have 3 Walmarts within driving distance just in my town, and I could walk over the freeway to the Walmart if I'm not that adventurous, but it's about a
And-
10-minute walk.
Yeah,
And the nearest Aldi's is about an hour and a half away.
that is literally true here. There are 2 Walmarts and a Sam's Club within 5 miles of my apartment now.
That's
I would-
city planning at its best.
We have a
Yeah.
Myers too, but I'd really love a Target to get in here.
Oh, we've
Oh,
got
the
2 Targets as well.
The nearest Target's around an hour and a half.
Our Targets have turned weirdly into high-end clothing stores. So our Targets don't sell like Walmart is where you're going to get a deal.
Target to differentiate themselves from Walmart has tried to get a little more upscale over the years. Yeah,
Big
when I was
time.
living in Michigan,
You
the
mean
nearest
Target?
Target was
Target?
Yep. the nearest Target was over 2.5 miles away, so I didn't go to a Target for 4 years.
Target.
There was a lot of I started going when they put the third bathroom in our local Target because people stopped going. So I was like, hey, I like shopping, but I don't like people.
Yeah.
That's why I get up early in the morning, because when I go do my thrifting, no one's out at 8 o'clock in the morning. You know.
Yeah. True.
Well, that's the biggest thing I miss that COVID killed is that I can no longer go grocery shopping at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I really just need to pick up a laptop at 3 a.m.
Actually, again, living in Michigan, I would drive, the hour plus to the Walmart to go shopping at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. It was convenient for me. And that's actually the reason that Sloth Girl and I have 50-inch TVs. Because I was in there one time at like 2 o'clock in the morning and they were cleaning out the back room. And they brought out the pallet of these 50-inch TVs that were a model that had been discontinued. So the manager just wanted to get rid of them and slapped $99 on each of them.
Oh wow. That's a good price. That's a
Yeah.
really good price for a TV. Holy shit.
I bought a carpet cleaner that way, and every time I see it at my ex-wife's house, I wave at it. But it was a floor model, and I'm a wheeler and dealer because I'm constantly dealing with thrift store stuff, and I asked the manager like how much you want to give it to me, and he's like, here, $60, you could have it.
Well, of course it was a floor model. What do you think you're going to get for a carpet cleaner? A wall model?
Wouldn't that be a rug cleaner?
Well, I noticed that it had been sitting there for a while and it was dusty because we'd go to Walmart all the time and it wasn't getting rotated. So I asked the manager, I'm like, how much do you want for this? And he gave me a really good price. It still works. My ex-wife still has it.
Yep. Well, that's what I loved about going in the wee hours in the morning was that there was no one else in the store except the people stocking the shelves. And nobody would bother me and ask, do you need help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention, sometimes you have a hard drive crash and you need the hard drive right away, and
Yeah.
you're not going to pick up a hard drive at your local convenience store.
True.
Okay. We
All right.
have been running almost 3 hours here, so I think probably a good time for me to wrap it up. So that I can get up before noon tomorrow and actually get work on my car done.
I know I got to take Young sewing for his state testing tomorrow so they can judge the state of California.
Well, so let's go around. Who has any last words? Anything they want to plug? Zoomy?
No last words really, but yeah, I would like to plug my channel. I want to thank you for actually letting me sit on the panel and everything, because it was awesome being here. And if you want to listen to me and Quiddies talk about random stuff, go over to NASA Pucker 33, and we'll actually be live not tomorrow, but Saturday night. So we'll be doing chick tracks. Fun.
Awesome.
Sounds exciting.
I'm subscribed.
Yeah.
Doc, you still with us? You've got any final words?
Hermits have no peer pressure.
True.
Okay. Yeah, valid.
Valid. Yeah, valid.
Gold.
Okay, Porpoise, what have you got happening?
I am the Sinister Porpoise. When you think of Sinister Porpoises, think of the Sinister Porpoise. You can find my channel. It's www.youtube.com/the Sinister Porpoise 1. After I do calc finals, and depending on how much work I have to do for Principles of Statistics, I'll probably be putting some videos out. I have one planned about Ada Lovelace and the controversies surrounding her. One describing what the Turing tests and Turing Complete are. And honestly, with all this Twitter stuff, I think I'm probably going to do one on Elon Musk and the stuff I think he can do well if he actually implements it, and the stuff that really I think people are just going off the rails on. Remember, everyone, be excellent to each other. And so long, and thanks for all the fish.
Okay, one thing I would like to see is I'd like to see somebody doing a Turing test with 3 groups. That you have the AIs, you have the regular people, and have a group of people with autism. Because I am betting that most normal people will judge most people with autism as being a computer.
I was actually
Probably.
thinking about. I was wondering if there's any studies and I was wondering, it's like, wouldn't you be accused of being aimless for that? But no, just say you're running the Turing test and they're really talking with autistic people.
Yep. Okay, Will? He's choking on his smoke.
I can see if that study was actually done at some point.
Oh, I'm red. Oh, that's funny. How I change color when I cough my face off. Well, if you're watching this, then you probably know that I'm Godless Sewing of the Godless Sewing channel. Go subscribe to the Godless Sewing channel. I obsess over sewing machines. I'm a non-political, non-religious atheist. Come on down. Be there or be square. Godless Sewing, Godless Going. Sewing. It's my accent.
Okay, yep, and I'll just be back here next week, Wednesday at noon, Thursday at 10 p.m. Central. And I'm usually on the shills on Saturdays at 6. So we will catch you all later. Bye-bye.